of either firm performance, productivity, efficiency, or whatever, until they invest in other assets which may go alongside to complement this major asset. And we refer to this as the complementary assets. This is how we ended the first lecture. Then the second lecture, we tried to look at, what was the second lecture about? No, it was our e-business. Strategy was the third. So second one, we're talking about e-business and collaboration. How we can improve different business processes, either incrementally or completely change the overall organizational form into a digital one. And then we indicated that you can either do that by changing some processes or transformation or changing a different business model. Then in the third lecture, we concentrated on how we can use strategy to inform our adoption, implementation, and use of information systems. And we drew on Porter's 5 forces model. And then based on Porter's 5 forces, which included suppliers, customers, the firm itself, substitute products, there were 5. And then we indicated that based on how the firm reacts to these forces, the firm can take a number of decisions, either product differentiation, new entrants was part, yes, it was part of the forces. So depending on how an organization responds to the force of new entrants, suppliers, customers, and the others, the firm would take one of these decisions. The firm would either adopt a low-cost strategy, concentrating on a very small market area or segment, or product differentiation. Then that ended the third lecture. Today, we want to understand the implications of our adoption, the implications of the implementation. So you can start recording. Today, we want to look at the implications of the use of information systems, either when we adopt it, when we adapt it, when we implement, when we use it, the impact. What would be the implications in terms of these 2 main areas? So we are going to concentrate on the ethical and social issues that are raised by information systems today. Okay, so to do that, our objectives are quite straightforward. We want to understand the ethical, social, and political issues that are raised by information systems. So 3 core areas in terms of the issues. Then we'll also look at some specific principles for conduct, specific principles that will guide our decisions for ethical behavior as managers. And we will look at a process. If you are a manager, you are a CEO, and you want to take a decision and you are confronted with an ethical dilemma, you are not sure what to do. What processes should you follow? What principles should guide your ethical behavior? We'll look at it here. Then we'll also look at some contemporary information system technology and how the internet poses challenge to the protection of our individual privacy and intellectual property. Is there anybody here who is not on Facebook? Almost all of us are on Facebook. But the idea behind Facebook is to make it possible for us to be able to share our data freely. So you take a picture and then you share it with anybody. It means you are giving consent to anybody to download and save that picture on your phone. Don't you think that it has a challenge against our privacy? There's a contradiction there. So we'll look at some of these contradictions. Then the last part, we'll look at how information systems has affected laws for establishing accountability, liability, and the quality of our everyday life. Before we delve deeper, I want us to look at some video pieces. So I've shared a link on your page. I've shared a link. I'll play the video here, but if you can just watch it briefly. It's about 3 minutes. I'll try and, if you can play it from, let me. Have you seen the link? Or maybe I should just summarize the content of the video and then we go. You don't have data? Okay. All right. So basically what the case is, you can watch it later. Basically what the case says is, just pause it, it's okay. I'll explain. I will explain the content of the case. The content of the case hinges on the concept of net neutrality. And net neutrality is based on the idea that the internet is an open space. The internet is an open space. So because it is an open space, what I see, what I do, or what I see should just be my responsibility. What I do, what I see online should be my responsibility. Nobody should come and start restricting what I do or what I see, because the internet is seen as an open place. And we come from the backdrop of the fact that the internet is not actually owned by somebody. So whatever I want to do, as long as I have data, I should be able to see what I want to see. I should be able to do what I want to do. Now, this goes in opposition to this fact. The fact that you sign up onto platforms like Facebook, which operates behind the fact that anything at all you want to share, you can share on Facebook, though they have some rules that guides the sharing of some particular kinds of content. But you can share your location, you can share your pictures, you can share videos of your kids doing different kinds of things. When you share this, what you are basically telling people is that they can download, save it, and probably use it for other purposes you have not actually given them the authority to do. So when we share a post saying that I am somewhere, I'm traveling, I'm in Dubai, flight, you have flown to this particular place, armed robbers could actually be tracking you. And based off your revelation of this privacy, they can go and rob you. But we do that. Now, when we do that and they rob us, do you have the right to actually complain? When you do that and your information is taken and used for other purposes, can you complain? Now, the concept of net neutrality says that our use of the internet, what we have access to, should be controlled by me. It shouldn't be controlled by the internet service provider. And the internet service providers are MTN, Vodafone, and Tigo and Airtel and Co. How can we practically explain the concept of net neutrality? Now, if you go to MTN and you want to have access to the internet, the bundles they provide give you access to different kinds of content. Do you agree with me? There's a social bundle. With that, you can have access to Facebook and many other social media platforms. But when you try to go online and do other things, you may be restricted. Apart from that, they have midnight bundle. And the midnight bundle only restricts you to have access to the internet from a particular period, midnight, to 5 a.m. So because of these particular packages, the concept of net neutrality is being compromised by the internet service provider. Because I am buying the data. I should decide when and what I want to see. But you are restricting me by using the social bundle to tell me that I can only visit social media platforms. I cannot go to my organization website to do anything because it's not social media. You are also telling me that if it is not midnight, buying this particular bundle, I cannot use it. You can have up to 10 gig. If you try to use it, it won't work because it's specifically tailored for the use after midnight. This is in opposition to net neutrality. Now, I want to ask you some questions regarding net neutrality. Do you think it's fair what MTN is doing? Based on your understanding of net neutrality, do you think it's fair?
It's fair. It's fair.
There's communication. Okay, I like that part. You would agree. You actually subscribe. Okay.
The bundle they give for 3 times quite smaller compared to the midnight.
Don't you think what you are saying is based on your capacity to pay? Yeah, if you can pay, you get more data, isn't it? So it's not looking at that particular aspect. They are not actually restricting your use during the day if you can pay. But also look at it this way: if we are saying the internet is an open space, why should they sell the data packages? 1 megabyte after midnight cost differently to 1 megabyte during the day. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So even in terms of cost, there's no neutrality. So in explaining net neutrality, we have to look at it from different levels. In terms of cost, they price the data differently. They are not being fair. Okay. They are not fair. Okay. 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 So when it goes over, that's why it costs. So let me come in here. So how do we resolve that by the fact that whether they give me access in the night or during the day, they will still pay that same cost? Professor, do you understand what I'm saying? When they give me access, either during the day or during the night, it won't change the cost of the equipment. Okay. Okay. The night. Okay. So because of that, they may decide to price it differently. Okay.
From the customer's perspective, what you say is that from the producer's perspective.
Yes, from the ISP.
They make it as such. To be able to bring everybody on board. Because I'm using everything on WhatsApp on my phone. When I come to subscribe for one day, if it was strict maybe 1 week for 10 series, no social, no nothing.
Okay.
There's 5 CDs for social
bundle.
And now I know there are people who just use for example.
Yeah, they don't go online to do any other thing.
The social bundle. Which is also environmental friendly for the customers involved.
Okay.
And so looking at it that way, I see the neutrality playing out well there. Because some people can afford,
others too cannot afford. Okay.
And some people, sometimes Vodafone bundle, for instance, they'll give you a daily bundle. You'll not be able to finish it, but it will expire.
I am very particular about where your stand is. Prosper seems to be in the middle.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's fair. Yes. Other times it's not fair. Where do you stand?
It's fair.
It's fair.
It's fair.
Okay. It's fair that they price it differently.
Yes.
Okay.
It's fair.
Yes. Yes. That's their
marketing strategy.
Okay. He says that's their marketing strategy.
They will look at a group of people.
Yes.
That is those who earn within a specific time.
High income earners. They will look at some high income earners and target them.
Okay. So at the end of the day, those who cannot.
Yes, I like what you are saying. They will look at some high income earners and target them with some packages, like TurboNet, for instance. But don't you think that one too is creating the digital divide? I cannot afford a TurboNet, but I want to have access to the internet, which is an open place. And you are saying that because my income is low, I should just buy 480 megabytes for 10 CDs, and it will finish, and I will pay for more again. Don't you think that creates a digital divide? When I say digital divide, basically some people have access to technology, they use technology, others don't have. But I am arguing that because of the enforcement of this particular issue, net neutrality, internet service providers differentiating their customers and pricing content or data differently. It widens the digital divide. So you would see your kid who is not working, he has no income and wants to have access to the internet to download games. After midnight, when you have all slept, they will be creepy. Have you noticed that your kids are creepy at night, trying to download things because they use their 5 CDs and bundle for the midnight? Yes. Neutrality. Okay.
Because other countries, for example, you can buy, let's say, 100 CDs of data, and you can use the whole of the month.
Yeah.
You can stream, you can download unlimited.
Yeah.
But in Ghana, you just buy 400 gig. By the time, by 15 days time, then you have used about 200 gig already.
Yeah, and you don't know what you have downloaded.
Meanwhile, other countries, it's not like that. Why you just pay 100 Ghana CDs, that's all.
Yes.
It's fixed.
Yes.
It's unlimited.
Yes.
But it's Ghana
I'm excited by this scenario.
Bro.
Don't you also think that?
Okay.
Don't you also think that the issue of the regulator plays a role in the issues of net neutrality in Ghana? The regulator. When I say the regulator, you understand
National
Huh?
Communication.
No, not the ISP, the regulator. NCA, yes.
Prof, you also realize that when you go to the southern sector, there are some uh, data packages or even the call packages that we have around north here. You can't get it over there. Like Jared and other things. You can't get it in the south.
So how are they able to segregate that? Okay. So where you are located, exactly. So location-based services. Yeah. Okay. So it means they're also using location-based services to. Okay. Yes. Then that's what we're talking about. People cannot afford, and because you cannot afford, so maybe they see that though people are located, those who are located down south have that higher ability to what to pay, but that still reinforces the digital divide. Don't you think so? Yes. Because those down south are much more well-to-do. So it means that they will have access to the internet more, they have access to digital technology more, whilst those of us who are here. So the other way, I would have argued for the alternative. In order to bridge the digital divide, those who can afford more, they can afford. So price is higher for them to be able to pay. Those who cannot afford, you make it cheaper, those of us here, so that the divide will be bridged and you will seem to be a bit more neutral. Now let's look at net neutrality in terms of not cost, but content in the organizational setting. In your organization, there are certain things you cannot watch. You can't see. The moment you click on it, it will say your activity or internet activity or whatever has been logged and the system administrator has been informed, something like that. For instance, if you want to access social media whilst at work, if you are using, those of you in the bank, can you go online to Facebook or whatever? You can't. And if you attempt to do that, your activity may be logged. They are restricting your access to some content. And this is also related to the concept of net neutrality.
Yeah, but I think that one is not, it shouldn't be related with net neutrality, because if they give you access to social media during working hours, some people might spend the whole day on Facebook, or WhatsApp or YouTube.
But assuming the only means you are at work, especially those in the bank, you have no means of contacting any other person. You can't use your mobile phone. And you have a family. There's an emergency. You cannot be reached. Should your use of the internet be restricted even when you are working?
So that is why they have filtered the internet, so that you can have social media, but you can have other means of communication, like email.
So assuming that the only way I can contact my small boy in the house, my wife, is through social media.
So now that you are employed in such organization and you know that this is what is done there, then you have to create another alternative so that you can reach them.
Okay.
In terms of emergency.
Provided by the organization or the
individual? No, provided by you yourself. For example, you can tell them that, if there's an emergency, send me an email.
Okay.
Send me SMS.
Okay.
Instead of using social media to send. Okay. Because I know there's some organization like the oil refinery. If you are an engineer and you are entering the refinery, you can't even go with your phone.
Okay.
You leave your phone at the security. Okay. So they've created other alternative whereby if there's an emergency, they can contact their family. There are landlines in the refinery.
Okay.
So that's the only way. You can't go there with your.
So when we're talking about net neutrality, there are two different levels. At the first level, we're saying that cost and content. But there are two key players here. There are two key players: the consumer or the customer, and the internet service provider. So at the organizational level, you can't go and argue that because I need to contact family, friends, and others, I must have access to the internet to be able to do that because of the concept of what? Net neutrality. It doesn't apply in that context. Okay.
Our system is a very classical example.
The digital divide is also bridged by government interventions by providing access through the Ghana Electronic Fund for Communication. That is why very good. Yes. And that is why we mentioned the issue of the regulator. The regulator is a government agency, and the regulator can play a critical role. That's a very good point in bridging the digital divide. Yes.
The system we use in our office, for instance, when you take the machines, there are SIM cards in it, and you can access only official websites on it. When you connect to your personal Wi-Fi, when you connect the machine to your personal Wi-Fi, you can't even open your own dashboard. The office dashboard, you can't even open it with an external internet.
Yes.
only the inbuilt internet can be used to access our office IPs.
Yes.
So when you can't even check Google, you can't check your
You can't
email.
even go to Google.
You can't go to Google. But once you
That's an intranet.
yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right. So let's now start the lecture. That was just an interactive session to prepare our minds for what we are going to look at. So we want to understand, maybe in the recent past, we have seen some examples of cases that raises ethical concerns. Not long ago, a US bank created fictitious accounts of customers and misled the customers into a lot of things. Somebody in the banking sector, has anything like that happened in a bank setting? The creation of a fictitious account, an account that actually doesn't exist. Or maybe a reliance on an information system, your banking software, your office software. A customer comes in and pays a certain amount, and you are able to fidget with the software or the system to enter an amount lesser than that and then pocket the difference. Is that possible? SG had a case like that. Yes. It's not even showing me.
It's like a fellow clone an account or open an account.
A particular participant has enabled. No. You can only see it here, not. Go out. Yes. Some of the challenges we're having with participants, they are clicking and clicking and clicking about. Yes. A bank in the US, Wells Fargo Bank, they admitted to opening millions of false accounts, manipulating terms of mortgages, and forcing car loan customers to purchase unneeded insurance. Later, the bank was discovered to have used some fictitious methods to make money, and they were fined. You were just mentioning an issue of SG.
Yes. What happened was the fellow found a way. Found a way of like transferring plenty persuasives from many accounts into one particular account and clearing it. So you see that your 50 persuasives is taken off. You don't feel it. So at the end of the day, multiple of accounts persuasives. Yes.
What happens when you see a notification from even your mobile money provider that 25 pesos has been deducted from? What do you do? Because it's even our banks. Anybody here who has taken a bank statement in the last 1 year? Anybody here who has requested? So assuming the banks just decided that, okay, let's take 1 cedi from, maybe the system is configured in a way that at the end of every month, when they are paying salaries, 1 cedi should be deducted from everybody's account. We're not saying they are doing that, but assuming the system is built to do this, you can imagine the amount, and that would be an example of an information system used to conceal some kind of theft. Yes. So in many situations, information system may be used to bury decisions from public scrutiny. So if there's a rogue staff in a bank, he can, and his knowledge of the system, he can rely on the system, hide behind the system, and be doing some criminal activity. It's highly possible. Now, when we say ethics, what do we mean? When we say ethics, and when we hear ethics, what do we mean? Values, okay.
Acceptable norms.
Acceptable behavior, okay, right or wrong. Any other?
Standards, some say
Standards, okay. Guidance and values. Good conduct, okay. So in the US, this is not related to technology. In the US, if you are gay, there's no problem. In Tamil, if you are gay, and they know this house, there's a gay guy there. People will voluntarily come and attack that house because in our context, we see it to be against our normal behavioral patterns. When we are talking about ethics, we are largely interested in two things: what is right and what is wrong. But the issue of ethics is always seen in a particular context. So what could be ethical somewhere may not be ethical. That is why every organization, there are ethical standards that guides our behavior. Now, when information systems are introduced in an organization, there is always some kind of a chaos, especially with people. People will think that people who are not very knowledgeable about the use, implementation, and adoption of this particular kind of technology may think that the technology is coming to replace us. And with this thinking, we saw in lecture 1 or 2, there will be resistance to the change. And the resistance can come from different levels. We want to concentrate on the resistance from people. Now, when we introduce information systems, the way we interact, let's look at a platform like Facebook. The way we interact has drastically changed. There are people I have met in this classroom, and it feels like I have met them several times a long time ago in the past. Meanwhile, we have never met, probably because of our interaction on Facebook or social media. The way organizations' chain of command control is organized is also changed by information systems. And we looked at an example in our previous lectures that information systems flattens the organizational structure. So it threatens the existing distribution of power. You can be restricted, where maybe 20, 25 years ago, talking to your CEO would have been very, very difficult. These days, if you have a grievance, you can just email. Maybe your CEO is even on the same WhatsApp platform with you. You can just private chat and send the person. The way we even deal with money these days has changed. And our rise to protect our own information, our obligations online, all of this has changed because of the introduction of information systems. Apart from this, the several opportunities that information system brings, it also creates an opportunity for a different kind of crime. Different kinds of crime. Our guys in town, there are thieves parading themselves as what? Businessmen, because they engage in some activities that are able to conceal the actual nature of the crimes they are perpetrating. So if an information system is introduced in an organization, we're saying that there will be resistance. And the best way to explain the introduction of an information system in an organization is to use the concept of a pebble and a pond. If you throw a pebble into a pond, the effect is that there will be what is called ripple effects. There will be waves will be created. Can you stop the waves? No, it will take time before it will settle. And the introduction of IT, the introduction of information system in an organization behaves the same way. So if we see the organization or the society as a calm pond and information technology as the rock, if you throw it in, it will create new situations that are not covered by the existing standards, the existing laws. So you will have to readjust to be able to do that. And I gave an example of an officer who indicated that if they introduce a clock-in system in my organization, I will still find a way, come, log in biometrically, and go home. When it's time for closing, I will come and biometrically log out. Are you getting it? So they will have to find a way to ensure that the activity of this individual is logged even when he is at his or her desk, so that after logging in, when you are conducting any activity using the system, your activities will also be what? Will also be logged. So there will be a need for new rules or new laws to be instituted to be able to deal with the new changes that will emerge as a result of the introduction of a new information system. So looking at the ethical, social, and political issues that are going to be raised by an information system when it is introduced, we have to look at it from the perspective of this diagram. The middle is the technology or the system. When it is introduced, it will affect us at different levels. Individually, people will be affected. At the societal level, politically, there will be effects. These are the levels of effects. But it will raise different kinds of issues. In terms of the individual, the effect will be that it will raise ethical issues, what the person can or cannot do. It will also raise social issues. It will also raise political issues with regard to this person. Also at the societal level. Even at the organizational level, there are some political issues that will be raised by the introduction of our information system. Even at the stage of acquisition, not implementation. When our information system is going to be acquired, what possible political issue will it raise? When an information system is going to be introduced in an organization to improve processes, improve productivity, what political issues will it raise? Some people may have interest in the introduction of this system, not in terms of its use, but in terms of procurement, what they stand to get.
10%.
And because of what they stand to get, they may compromise on the quality of it. They say, oh, just bring us any system that will at least work for some 1 year. After 1 year, we'll come back again for another. So despite these levels and the effects, it will raise some moral dimensions, some moral issues. And the moral issues, we'll see it in the context of information rights and obligations. For instance, if I am online on Facebook, I have right to contribute to my privacy. And I have an obligation to protect myself whilst I'm online. Facebook has also got its right to protect and not to pass on my data unnecessarily to third parties. But what rights do I have as an individual? When you visit a social media platform, you sign up, what rights do you have? As an individual, what rights do you have? We'll look at questions relating to these 5 moral dimensions. Then the issue of accountability. If Facebook, the platform goes bonkers, there's a problem with it, who will be held responsible? Is it Facebook? Is it that maybe I did something wrong, or at the organizational level, the organization did something wrong? That... At least we've got 45 minutes.
Bonus, this one is bonus.
So quickly switch it on, and then we'll connect to this one.
Wait. Oh!
This power outage, the lectures may not travel the full length of 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours. No, because of the heat. So maximum 1 hour, 1 hour, or 1.5 hours, then the next lecture will come. Okay. Are you recording? Okay, all right. So we said that we'll look at the moral dimensions that are raised by the information systems. And we indicated that the levels are 3, the issues are also 3, and the moral dimensions are 5. And this is where we'll get more interactive. The first one is information rights and obligations. So I want to find out what information rights do individuals and organizations have with respect to themselves when they join a particular platform. When you join a platform, what rights do you have?
You have the right you have the right to your information.
Okay. The right to information, also whether to share it. When you upload a picture, when you upload your location, you have that right to protect yourself or not. So what can the provider of the platform protect? Yeah, so they have the right to security. Though when you are signing up, you agree that to some extent they can share your data with third parties. Usually we agree. And we don't read the terms, we just go on, accept, agree, and then confirm. So they have the right to protect you in some respects. In terms of property rights and control, we need to discuss this in the context of intellectual property rights. Intellectual property right basically refers to the rights I have when I have written maybe a book or maybe a music video or something. How can you be protected? I indicated that at the beginning of the lecture that we will be sharing, I think we even shared it, a book with you. We shared a book with you. This book is written by somebody, Loudon and his wife. But I didn't buy the book. I downloaded it from a rogue site and shared it with you. How can they be protected? Assuming I write a book, even our videos, just look at the videos we are recording. There are others doing MBA and they do some of these courses. We put our content on YouTube, we make it unlisted so that people when they search cannot see it, and we share it with you. What right of protection do we have over that content? What right of protection do we have? Yes. Yeah, we have some copyright. But can we totally prevent people from having access to it? Considering the way we have shared it. The only restriction we have in place is that if you hear the information that, UDS, their MBA lectures are online. If you search, you'll be able to watch the video. And maybe somebody is struggling in another program with MIS or with accounting, and he decides that, okay, let me go look for it. If you search online, because it's unlisted, you will not be able to find it. But if any of you tries to share with an outsider, what happens? The person will be able to have access. What have you done in terms of property rights? Okay, so this comes to warn you that don't share. Don't share. We have restrained ourselves from commenting on the platform that please do not share this with others, but it also beholds on you not to share it with people out there. In terms of accountability and control, who can and will be held accountable and liable for the harm done to individuals and collective information and property rights? If the whole of Facebook content, remember we have always maintained that Facebook they don't provide any data on that platform. It is user-generated content. We, the users, put the content there. Now, if there's a breach in terms of Facebook protecting our data, who would be held accountable? In countries like the US, Mark and Co, they have been hauled against commissions. Google and Co, they have been hauled against to sit in front of committees to explain why there has been data breaches in some parts of the US. So depending on who is managing the database, depending on who is managing the platform, the issue of accountability and control would also arise if there is a breach. Then system quality. What standards of data and system quality should we demand to protect individual rights and safety of society? When we are using a system, there are some quality standards that needs to be there. If you buy a software from a vendor and the software malfunctions, it brings the issue of system quality. Who will be held responsible? In many times, when you buy a product, there are guarantees. You use it for a particular period. They are doing that because they want to guarantee the quality of what? The system. So that when you use it within that period and there is a flaw, there is a problem. Because of that guarantee, they will be able to patch up with you. And that also brings into focus the issue of accountability. It means they want to be accountable for the use and quality of the system. Quality of life is a last moral dimension. And the question is, what values should be preserved in an information and knowledge-based society? When you are using a platform like social media platforms like Facebook, what values should be preserved? They say that it is user-generated content. You can share anything because you have the information rights. You can share anything you want on that platform. Okay. It's not also anything that Facebook will accept. What kind of content wouldn't they accept? Anything concerning blood. Okay. It will not accept it. Okay. Any other? Vulgar words. Yes. If you use some obscene language. In other times, Facebook may not be able to pick up the vulgar words, the obscene language, or some content that it abhors. Maybe somebody has reported you. And Facebook would say that you have gone against their community standards. Sometimes it can be baffling. They block your content and say you have gone against their community standards. And you are wondering, what actual standard have I actually breached? We had a case like that when we did our information session. Some of you were part. Quickly, we uploaded the video. By evening, over 500 views. Then Facebook took it down and indicated that we had violated their community standards. We appealed. Up to now, they have not responded to us. Now, if we look at the way technology is today and the way technology was some 10, 15 years ago, the current development in technology also raises some ethical issues. The current development in technology also raises some ethical issues. A hard drive of, say, 1 terabyte 10 years ago, you can imagine the size of a 1 terabyte hard disk drive. Today, because of advancement in storage capabilities, you can have an SD card as small as this, 1 terabyte. What ethical issue does it raise? Because of the compact nature of storage devices. What ethical issues does it raise? Remember, we indicated that when we are talking about ethics, we are interested in the issue of right and wrong. What ethical issue does it raise? Storage.
Maybe we put our information to that small and it falls.
It falls, yes.
Or get missing.
Yes.
It means that somebody has 1 terabyte of your data.
Yes. Some years ago, there was a leakage in Tamale about someone who had encountered with several women. And he's had this, and he'd had anonymity, protection of individual. Then the hard disk got missing, and somebody had access to it. Now, in terms of storage, if you were to steal, this is very lame though, if you were to steal a hard disk as big as this 20 years ago, the difficulty with the pilferage, the theft, is completely different from stealing a pen drive, 1 terabyte, which is just a small stick, or an SD card. You can even just put an SD card, go into an organization, pick an SD card, put it in your mouth, under your tongue, they will search you, nobody will be able to disclose it. So the issue of, yes? Okay.
Where somebody was in the security service and was able to copy a lot of information
and pass it on to, yes, he leaked it. We are not sure whether did he sell it. The way Russia came to his aid raises several other dimensions of the case. So apart from storage, mobility. I remember when I saw those of us here were a bit old, Mobitel. the mobile phone was like a bar of pea soup. Compare that to the mobile, and it couldn't take a picture. It had no cameras. It couldn't record. Now compare that to the compatibility, the mobility of devices today. A mobile phone. When you attend meetings, the ethical issues that are raised by the mobility of mobile technology is that when you attend a meeting, maybe a very highly confidential meeting, you are not sure who is recording who. Just look at the case of the IGP. Yes. So it raises, so the fact that devices are now very, very mobile raises an ethical issue. There's also the law that computing power doubles very quickly. What computers were able to process 20 years ago, the mobile phone will be able to do that and do that better. And it raises some issues, some ethical issues. What kind of ethical issue will be raised by high computing power today? What ethical issue? Anybody's with an organizational context, you can use technology in your organization to commit a crime in less than a minute, as compared to if you were to rely on paperwork to commit that same crime 10 years ago. Yeah, considering the nature of our job, if there is no trail of changes in grades, I can just log in with some thousand in an envelope, change somebody's grades. If there's no trail, but if it was physical, manual, and the resource files are kept somewhere, and the lock and key, my access to it will be completely different. How I'm going to change it, use a correction fluid to do that would be different. So the fact that computers are now there are systems in place which within some few clicks, you'll be able to make changes, and the changes will reflect in the person's portal, raises some ethical issues as well. Now, yes.
The system. You need to restrict people how to use it.
Okay.
Sometimes they give people opportunity to do certain things and they violate the company the way they are supposed to do it.
Okay.
For instance, NHIA, they could allow the data entry to do some changes, updates.
Okay.
And people could register men as pregnant women.
Okay.
Because if you register somebody as a pregnant woman, the card will start working today. Okay. So after registering the person as pregnant woman, then he will go back and change it to, oh, I made a mistake.
Wow.
This is a man. But the date of activeness will not change.
It won't change. Wow.
So they had to restrict the data entries from doing the updates.
Okay.
So now if you want to do an update, you need to bring some evidence, then they will send to Accra for approval before you can do the changes.
Wow. Very excellent example of information systems being used to hide criminal behavior. Did you hear what he said? Yes. So maybe the clerk there doesn't even know, and you go there, there's an emergency, they say your car is expired. Now we have picked up information that we can hint the person, register me as a pregnant woman. And when you do, I can pass you some bucks. And then now they can't do it. The loophole has been closed. Okay, they have been restricted from doing that.
I had an issue with a friend.
Louder, please.
A friend was using a phone. Meanwhile, he was having money in his accounts, mobile money accounts. When he's sleeping, the daughter will take the phone, send money to his accounts, and delete the message. So the last time he brought it to me and said that, anytime I make a transaction, MTN will remove like 200 or 1,000 from me again. But I don't see, the message will just come deducting the 200.
The 200, okay.
So I took the phone and went through the statement. And I asked him, when was the last transaction done? So he said that was around 1 o'clock. So the other 200 that was deducted was done around 8 o'clock, 8 a.m.
Okay.
in the. I asked him, what were you doing around 8? He said, I was sleeping. So I said, maybe someone from your house might have taken your
mobile phone.
So that was when he was now calling that maybe it's my daughter.
Oh.
So that was I regretted telling him, because going back to the house, it will cause a lot of problems.
Yeah.
He said he called MTN and insulted them that they have been taking
not
his
knowing
money.
the culprit is right in his house.
So this
what issues made this possible? You see that, yes, sharing of password, you see that the mobility of the device, person picks the device. Yeah, if mobile devices, the growth in terms of mobile devices didn't happen, the account will be with the vendor. So you will have to go to the vendor. So one other thing that has enabled this is network advancement in network technology. So he picks the phone, the phone can connect, there's a connectivity. So he's able to do what? Enter the passwords and take that. So we are looking at computing power, data storage cost. How many of you store your data online? Compare that to storing the amount of data you have online. Compare that to storing it physically. In terms of the cost, is not only the payment for the storage of the device, but your cost of quickly having access to the data. And you see that quickly having access to the data is also enabled by the issue of what? Network advances. So computing power changing, data storage, data analysis advances. If you call MTN, it always amazes me when there is a fraud and people call MTN and MTN is not able to make high advances or analysis in terms of who has withdrawn the money, where has the money gone to. Most often, you just say they have withdrawn it and they want to just end it there. So that is where my problem is. Because of advances in network technology, this interoperability, they should, even if it goes to Airtel and then Airtel, it goes to Vodafone. From Vodafone, it goes to MTN back again. Because of interoperability, they should be able to at least give you some time and tell you that, look, we can trace it, but just give it. But we just tell you the money has been withdrawn. That's not how the banks works. Okay.
So the bank, when someone calls you that, oh, so and so has used your brand to dupe me. First of all, you just go and block the person's account, then start the investigation.
You block it.
Yes, you block it. Then trying to get in touch with the person. What do you have doing with ABCD? Because the person has called us and said ABCD about you. So kindly let us know there. Then we'll bring the two of you together to resolve the case. If it is that really there's no any transaction between you, then we'll reverse the money back to the person.
Yeah.
But I don't know how MTN, immediately you call them.
Yeah, so I think they are also doing it, but so what Prosper was saying, there are instances there may be some connivance. And sometimes I suspect people conniving, the operators conniving. Yes, because sometimes considering a friend was defrauded about 8,000 about a month ago. And when he called, they said, oh, the money is gone. And it just ended there. He said, they've already withdrawn the money. And I'm like, if I have been with MTN for so many years, I expect that they should be able to offer me some kind of service. Even the users, we users, MTN can use advanced technology to be able to profile us, the kind of transactions we do, especially when you go to the bank. You can't just go to the bank and deposit 1 million Ghana cedis or $1 million. Because, and even if you have $1 million and you want to deposit it in chunks, at a time, the bank will start doing what? Profiling you. Maybe the system has been designed in such a way that it will raise some red flags. Because the system conducts some background analysis, advanced analysis. Maybe when you came to open the account, you indicated your source of income. If the deposits you are now making cannot be obtained from that source of income, some level of red flags need to be raised. When you guys applied, if you look at the kind of information we collect as a university, that information can be used to perform some kind of profiling to determine the kind of students that are enrolling on our programs. You agree with me? We can also use that to determine where majority of our applicants are coming from. So for instance, when a lot of people applied, we did basic profiling and realized that majority of the numbers were in Tamale. So it wouldn't be cost-wise to be traveling to Bolga to be traveling to war to be able to do that. The best way to do that would be to leverage on technology and bring them closer virtually. So profiling is very important, and profiling involves combining data from multiple sources. And profiling is often used in conjunction with what we call non-obvious relationship awareness. It's called NORA. So assuming somebody is a criminal who is involved in money laundering. He opens an account here, opens another account here, sells drugs, buys stuff, exports it. Because of network advances, the police, the banks, and many agencies can have some kind of a network. Have you heard of Interpol? Yeah, if somebody is a criminal, a notice can be sent to several countries. If you attempt to leave any of those countries at the airport, you can be what? You can be tracked. They are doing this because they are relying on several databases which are connected to each other in some way, and they use it a lot to track criminals. Yes. There are. He's asking whether there are ethical issues when security agencies rely on false accounts to track down criminals. So there's an ethical issue there, and the obvious ethical issue there is falsification. They are falsifying. If you were a civilian and you falsify or use somebody's identity, it's a criminal offense. But sometimes the security agencies are able to go away with a lot of these things. So assuming you are a manager and you are faced with an ethical dilemma. And when we say an ethical dilemma, we are basically referring to some kind of a confusion. You are not sure what decision to take, because when you weigh the right and the wrong, you seem to be in a fix. So we are saying that for you to take a decision, you, as a manager, you can follow some basic steps as a guide. Apart from the steps, you can also follow some basic principles. And we want to look at some of them. The first step will be for you to identify and clearly describe the facts. What are the facts of the case? What are the facts of the case? Who is involved? Who is involved? Then you define the conflict dilemma. Now, when you have described and understood exactly what the case is about, so oftentimes, as managers, somebody will come and report a colleague to you. It is not in the right scheme of things to start querying the person. It is always important that maybe you invite, I had a boss who used a particular approach. If you come to snitch on somebody, he will quickly just say, call me that guy. Just call him. So once you are still sitting there, they call the one you are accusing. Then when you come, an old man, he will say, say it and he will hear. Yeah, this is an opportunity to understand exactly what the facts are. When that person is there, you can no longer lie. You can no longer lie. It will also prevent a lot of these things from happening. So when you identify and clearly describe the facts, you need to define the conflict or the problem and place them in terms of higher order values. Which one should come first? Which one is more important? Which issue is more important? When you have done that, you find out who is affected. It may not necessarily be those two guys, the one reporting and the one who is accused. It may not be the two people who are involved in the case. The case may involve other external parties, and you would have to identify all the stakeholders, and then you start trying to identify the various options that you can take as a manager. Now, if you have prioritized it in terms of higher order values in point 2, it will be easier for you to take the decision that will have the less impact. The decision that will have the less impact will be the decision that will have the highest value. And then finally, we'll identify the consequences of our actions. If we are going to do this, there are quite a number of principles we can use to guide our decisions. The first principle is the golden rule. You don't do unto others so do unto others what you would want to be done to you. Simple. You use that principle. There are other principles. Another principle is that if the action you are going to take, if somebody else brings a case similar almost the same as that, and you cannot take that decision, then the decision you are going to take right then is not the best. And there are quite a number of principles we can use. The most common one we mistakenly look over is the no free lunch rule. The Nigerians will tell you that there's no free, if something is there, don't never, in an organizational setting, in a society, you should never assume that it is free. There's always someone who owns it. So a typical example is this. You just walk in, or maybe you go into a particular organization and then you see a Wi-Fi open. What do? Most of us will quickly connect. There would be a cost to you connecting to that. What could be the possible cost? Huh? Yeah, they can steal information from you. The network will deliberately be open so that people will join. Charging ports. There is this concept called war driving. People can war driving. People can use advanced technology and just mount it on a car or a mobile device and walk to some hot spots, maybe airports, where people are desperate for internet connectivity, restaurants, schools, people are desperate for internet connectivity, and position it there, make it open. So you would think, oh, free internet. So you connect. When you connect, they own it, and they can see all the devices that are connected to this network. And because they are experts, they can use advanced technology to just penetrate, steal your data, and you may be, So be careful. So the golden rule says, do unto others as you would have them do to you. And we're also saying that another principle is, if the action cannot be taken repeatedly, then you have to be very cautious. We can use all this to guide our decision as managers. Then there's also the slippery slope rule, which says that if an action cannot be taken repeatedly, we've mentioned that it is not right to take at all, because once you have started that decision, you have taken that path, you are on a slippery slope. You will be making those mistakes as you go on, and it can affect a lot of things. The economists will tell you that you should always take a decision that achieves the highest value. So the utilitarians will tell you. Then the opposite of using the utilitarian principle, taking the action that has the highest value, that will benefit you, that will benefit the organization. Most often than not, we will refer to it in our layman's view as being selfish a bit. Yeah, so somebody takes a decision without explaining. Probably he's just relying on the utilitarian principle. That is what will benefit him, so he relies on it. The opposite is that you take a risk aversion principle, the principle that you would always take a decision that will bring you the less risk. So you see that they are in a way opposites. Risk aversion, you take the action that produces the least harm or potential costs. Okay. Now, apart from just following these guidelines, the 5-factor guideline, and using the principles we have enumerated, if you belong to a particular profession, that profession may seek to regulate your ethical behavior. Medical doctors, chartered accountants, lawyers, they all have codes of conduct. Even we lecturers, we have codes of conduct. Bankers, what codes of conduct do you use? Yes. So teacher, you will fall, we are together. Lecturers and teachers, there are codes of what? Conduct. So even with this particular program, we have a code of conduct. The lecturer cannot come here and say certain things, and we have spoken to each other. That will guide our ethical behavior. So all our professional life, there are different association standards that guides professional behavior. Can you mention if you belong to a particular profession, what standards you guys are using? Any chartered accountant here? Any member of CISA? Any medical doctor? What can a chartered accountant do? And then ICA would say that, look, we will remove you from our membership, or we'll sanction you. Or what conduct can a lecturer engage in? Not necessarily related to information technology or information system. But we are saying that based on all these ethical issues that are raised by information systems, in order to enhance ethical behavior. Associations that employees or organizations belong to, they also have standards that can be used to support their ethical behavior. So the professions are also what? Regulating each other.
That's like confidentiality.
The issue of confidentiality.
Not like you do audit somebody, get information of the organization. And you could tell your wife about it.
Okay.
Once you have got it.
Okay. Any other?
Like confidentiality, certain, NIA.
The NIA.
Yes.
Okay.
If you are technical enrollment.
If you are the technical enrollment officer at NIA.
Yes, or the registration officer, the information you take from the individual remains between you and the individual.
Okay.
It doesn't go beyond any other person.
Yes.
Yes.
Somebody comes to register for a Ghana card.
Yes.
The information should be kept. That takes me to the bank. Yes. A banker cannot just see somebody or tell a colleague that, oh, this guy has money. You can't, a banker cannot do that. I think your profession, the banking profession frowns on that. I cannot also just go out and say that, oh, he's just, somebody drives his V8 and passes and I say, oh, in my class, he was one of those who got F. You can't do that. You can't do that. Even with the NIA.
With the NIA case, you can't come for your sons.
The action should be conducted at an arm's length because traditionally the arm's length gives enough space for you not to intrude into my personal space. We assume that all of us are free moral agents and we should be left alone, protect ourselves, do what is in our best interest. But we're saying that whilst the issue of being left alone as free moral agents aligns with the concept of the internet being a free open space, there are a lot of issues regarding our privacy being compromised either by ourselves or by third parties. So for instance, I sign up to Facebook. I decide whatever I want to share. And when we started, we mentioned the issue of you sharing your location, sharing that you are traveling to Accra, sharing that you are leaving the country, because you want that feel-good moment with your online friends that you have gone outside the country or you are in a flight or doing something. When this happens, armed robbers can use this information to invade your privacy. They will break into your home. Yes. Without your knowledge, yes. Yes. So he's using the term social engineering. Yeah, so when people use familiarity skills to interact with you in a setting that will allow you to compromise your data, you will give it out willingly. And that is what they use with the mobile money fraudsters use. They rely largely on social engineering. So they call you and they pretend that they are from MTN and they know you already, they will mention your name. Yes. And you know, usually what gives them up for me is the English. They start and I say, you can't even spell. And I have time for that. When they send me a message, I reply. I will engage the call and then the screen is not really. Oh. Is it being shared? Now, when you are at work, do you think that whatever you are doing is being monitored? You are using the office PC. Do you think that whatever you are doing is being monitored? Yeah. So if you are using and do you think it's right? So if you are using, for instance, I'm using the UDS email. It means that the ICT directorate can actually see all what I am doing with my university email. Do you think it's fair? Is it fair? Okay. When you say some of them, what do you mean? Some of the organizations. Okay. With that computer, they can have access. Really? Really? That will be a serious invasion of privacy. Okay. So where are you talking of the computer you own or the organization's PC? That one then that's fine. That's because you come and connect. You'll be able to track and see it. For public consumption. Okay. All right. Another real world example. Facebook monitors users and sells information to advertisers and app developers. Do you think it's fair? But do you sign up to it? Do you agree to it? When you are opening Facebook, do you agree to this? I like the part that is possible. It means that you didn't even read. It's possible. You were doing what?
I was reading a terms of condition of but I was signing up for a particular account, and they said they will sell part of my information to a third party company. If I like, I should proceed. And I said no. Then I cancelled it. I said I don't like. Then I didn't sign up again.
You decided not to sign in
because I read the terms and condition that but mostly when somebody sign up for something, because of the long nature of the terms and conditions, you like to read. You just proceed. Then they said end up selling your information.
Quiet, please.
They end up selling your information to third party companies.
They sell it for third party purposes to make money. So in your organization, can there be policies that would guide our use of information? What is that? Fair information, refer to your slides. Fair information practices. Fair information practices are basically a set of a set of principles governing the collection and use of information in your organization. Fair information principle. Would the fair information principle, fair information, all organizations, you would sign up to this. But even if there are fair information principles in the organization, and I decide to use the the organization's resources for something else, other than what is covered in the fair information use policy or fair information use practice. We're saying that everything will be tracked. Everything is tracked. So you may be given, your organization may say that, well, you cannot use your phone to do ABC. You cannot use your PC to do ABC. But maybe during a particular period, maybe your break time, you can use your phone, connect to the organization's Wi-Fi and do private stuff. When you are a teller, you can't do anything. But when you go off, maybe there could be another machine or computer elsewhere, maybe at the reception or maybe in your kitchen or whatever. And you can have access to that to be able to do certain things. But that doesn't also guarantee the fact that you can use the PC outside of this, your work period, to watch, say, porn or watch some other, or visit some other social media platforms. Now, when we use websites, have you ever encountered a scenario where you have gone to a particular website and then something just pops up and say this website, it uses cookies or it accepts cookies, it does this? What does it really mean? Do you usually agree? So when you don't agree, anybody who can share an experience of not agreeing? Okay, for some websites, when you don't, for some websites, when you don't agree, what happens? You can proceed. You can proceed. But for others, many others, when you don't agree, they say, okay, go on. Why do you think there's always that confusion? You are not sure whether to agree or not to agree. Have you ever Googled the term cookies? Well, they say they accept cookies, and then you just, yes. On the face of it, they are basically telling you that this tiny software would record your behavior, especially the kind of browser you are using, your computer's stuff. Yes, so that they can remember who this particular visitor is, and maybe serve that person with some kind of information. I once explained this in class, and during exam and undergraduate level, I asked a question: what is a cookie? We just said a cookie is just a tiny app that will be able to embed in your browser. It can pick some information. And this student went ahead and indicated that a cookie is a biscuit made of flour. Yeah.
Then you see when you go to Facebook, when they start giving you adverts, adverts.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you have not searched.
You have not searched. Yeah. Excellent. Have you ever visited a browser or some platform and it's trying to connect your mic? They say you should allow your mic to be. Have you witnessed that? Your mic. Sometimes, because it's a nuisance, you just click. Even our cameras we could be watched whilst we are using the internet. Yes. Somebody's hand was up. Yes. TikTok. Yes. Yes. If you are a fan of watching particular content on TikTok, you see more of that. More of that content. Yeah, a lot of the social media platforms. That's what happens. TikTok especially, because that's a currently very trendy app out there. You don't use it, then you are being left out. You will not. Okay. Yeah. I like that. But so in some countries, quiet. In some countries where censorship laws are very strict, they restrict the content of what people can see online. Nationally, they can restrict it. Somebody, I've not confirmed this, but somebody was telling me in China, TikTok, there are particular contents you see. Yes, because that platform can be a great learning platform. Are you aware? You can learn a lot. These days, if you are struggling to understand a concept, just go to TikTok and just search it. You are likely to see someone explaining it. Maybe the next time the next video you watch may likely be something related to that, because TikTok is monitoring what you are doing. Have you ever been sent an email and you are not sure who the sender is, and there's an attachment? Maybe spam, unsolicited email. If you receive unsolicited email with an attachment, will you open it? Curiosity, you will open it. This is what I always do. If it's unsolicited, I check the file format of that particular attachment. Check it. Is it a Word document? Is it PDF? Is it a picture? Is it a link, maybe HTML, something? Just check it. Because you may just try to download it and then something something can be installed onto your PC. You heard of spyware? What does it do? Spyware. Spyware basically is a shortcut for spy software. Spyware is spy software. Spy software. It does exactly that. It is what? We'll look at a lot of this when we come to security. So all of this can be used to target our behavior. Marketing. Marketing has drastically changed. The traditional way of marketing has changed. Because there's this concept we call behavioral targeting. What you do online, the cookies are able to record what you are doing online. So the adverts will be served. So for instance, if I go to My Joy Online as a news content website to read news, what I will see as banner ads on the sides and maybe on the top. When you go to My Joy Online, you may not see the same ads because our browsing behavior is different, because the cookies record different browsing behaviors, and then we are targeted based on our browsing behavior. So Google, which serves a lot of adverts, when you search for an item on Google, the first results, check it, they are usually what? Adverts. The first ones, you just see that sponsored. Somebody has paid for it, such that when you are searching for something related to that, it will pop up first. And because of your behavior, which has been tracked by the cookie, Google is able to serve you better. Now, when we also share our location, it makes it easy and possible for providers like Google and other social media platforms to know exactly where we are located. So they can serve us adverts that are peculiar to what? Our location.
Morning when you wake up, you start, when you tell that, start going to go to take it, take it.
Yeah. Yes, I have witnessed that. Yes. If you go to Google Maps and you are somewhere and you want to just pinpoint your location, it can tell you the minutes to your home, because it now knows, the app knows where you are staying. So if somebody even have access to your Google account, not your device, if I have access to your Google account, your location has been tracked over time. In the last 1 month, in the last 1 year, it can map out. Once a while, I receive a timeline from Google, which indicates where I have been in the last 1 month. Have you ever received it? Yes. So now it is not just about your device, your account. If somebody has access to that alone, the person will be able to tell. Yeah, so if you have been sneaking and going to a restaurant, your family, they are not aware. If they see your Google timeline, they will know exactly where you have been, because all the different places are, especially popular places. It will mention the name of the restaurant, the name of the hospital, or the name of the school. Now, when you are signing up to a platform like Facebook, or you are just filling a form online, there are often two things: an opt-in and opt-out policy. They may say that, there may be a button, click on it if you want to receive further information about our products, marketing activities, and whatnot. Usually we just click, you have opted in. Some, if there is an opt-in or opt-out policy and you opt out, you can't continue. There are some platforms, if you opt out, it means that they are indirectly telling you that it is compulsory that you opt what? You opt in. And these are some of the ways they use to gather data about us. Now, technically, what can we use to safeguard our privacy? You can use email encryption. When you are sending an email to somebody, you can password the document you are sending. You can put a password on it and send, and don't send the password using that same route. So I can share a link with you, I can share a document with you, which is passworded by email, and then I'll WhatsApp you the password. You can also use anonymity tools, which will protect your identity whilst you are online. So for instance, when you are using Google Chrome, you can go incognito mode. Incognito mode is just, if you look at the menu of the browser, it gives you an option to go to incognito mode, which would hide your browsing behavior. There are also browsers out there that you can use, and your identity will completely be what? Protected. The Tor browser, for instance, you can use the Tor browser anonymously. Interestingly, somebody was telling me a particular platform, AI platform, if you are going to use it to, the free trial only limits you to maybe 2 or 3 usages. This person will use it. Well, Muda, this guy, he will use it free and then log and then go off and go back to incognito mode. That in that case, the browser will not know that, the platform will not know that it is the same person who is coming back. Are you getting it? What basically he's doing in that scenario is what? Hiding his identity, protecting his what? Privacy. Because the site will not be able to record that it is the same person. So in a way, you will be able to deceive and protect yourself. Somebody has asked. Somebody, let me read it out. That since it is the university that has given you the email, then it's meant for official use. Therefore, if you are using it for other purposes, then you are going against the conditions of the email. Therefore, it's not fair to the university. Yes, when I'm using the university's email, and that is Abdurrahman Masood, excellent. I am holding myself out as an university. Yeah, so assuming I go out there and I'm sending emails to people and saying that I can give you admission to medicine for 2,000 Ghana cedis. You can imagine the amount of money I will make. But because of my association with that email and the university, I'm able to make these trade-offs and get that amount of money. Yes. So in that case, it will not be what? It will not be a fair practice, a fair practice for me to do. You can also install anti-spyware software to protect you from spyware that would have access to your. Have you heard of keystrokes?
No.
Keystrokes. You are typing a spyware is on your laptop. Anything you type on that laptop, it is what? Recorded and sent to this gentleman. Assuming you don't have an anti-spyware and you type anything. So if I install it on your laptop, if you are entering your username, it records every letter on the key that is pressed on the keyboard. When you are entering your password, it will enter everything. When it is sent to me as single alphabet, I will be able to decipher that, okay, this is likely the email, this is the password, and I will try it. And when I try it, bingo. Assuming it is online bank account login details, I would be able to get into the system and transfer your money. Okay, WhatsApp platforms.
Come in, ask for a particular person, then
yes, and start sharing.
Administrators,
he will change all the administrators. Yes, especially when the compromise is targeted at an administrator. Yeah. The person assumes an administrator role on the platform. Change all the administrators. They are no longer administrator, and he's the administrator. Nobody can remove him on the platform. Nobody can. So you all opt out. You have 500 members on that platform. Yeah. He's asking me, what will you do? So you can report him to WhatsApp. You can also use that crude method. You create another platform and say, all of you should go and join it. Then you are now. It is not always good to have maybe just a couple of administrators on a WhatsApp platform. Somebody also mentioned the issue of the 2-factor verification. Always make sure. These are all things to ensure our privacy. Now let's look at the issue of property rights, especially the rights with respect to intellectual property. Intellectual property. How do we protect intellectual property? When people have created either tangible or intangible stuff, the creation either by individuals or organizations, how can it be protected? There are always copyright laws, intellectual property laws. When people have invented something, they own the patents. We call it patents, right? Yes. But people always find a way to bypass this patent rights, copyrights, trademarks, Or maybe trademark basically refers to you using a particular symbol, unique symbol. Nobody can use it. Then trade secret. If your organization has some valuable information, the recipe for Coke. We have seen all different kinds of Cokes in the system. If you take it and taste it, the original Coke has a particular recipe. If anybody has access to that information, which is a trade secret, they will be able to collapse. All these are ways that intellectual property can be protected. Copyright, through copyright, patents, trademarks, and trade secrets. Now, it is easier for intellectual property rights to be replicated because of some factors. Somebody has composed a song. Somebody has come up with a video. Somebody has written a book. Assuming the book we are using was a hard copy book. The publisher is in the US. The books are for sale in bookshops, even in Tamale. How would I be able to get access to this book and distribute it to you this way? The fact that I'm able to distribute the book to you with ease is because of the ease of replication. The book can easily be replicated. I'll just have to right click and copy and send. It's gone. That is the reason why. It also applies to digital content like music. You can easily just what? Copy it, send it. All those of us who are in this class can easily have access to it. Apart from that, it is easier to transmit these days. Through WhatsApp, through email, you'll be able to transmit all of this. I can also alter it. I can alter it. With that book, I can write an MIS book in 1 week if I have access to that book, because I can rely on, because of the ease of replication, I can just use AI and just change, paraphrase, change. If there's a company called XYZ, I change the company's name to what? 123, something like that. And because of ease of replication, I can easily just transform the book in another. All these are threats to intellectual property rights. And when you have copied somebody, assuming you have copied somebody's song, very similar. Sometimes you hear some musical content, the beats, and you are like, it's like when I was growing up, I used to hear these beats. These days, because of digital technology, it is easier to replicate, and it is difficult to sometimes distinguish between the original and what? And the fake one. It is not always that when systems are implemented or systems are being used in organizations, the implications can be just social. The implications can be maybe political or ethical. There are also health implications. There are health implications. Now, if I keep using a PC for a very long time, what will be the health implication? So, yeah. So visual affects my eyes. Visual. Apart from that, neck, your back pain. So these days, you will see that because of the effect of technology on our health, there are products out there that are designed to mitigate against that. So when we had these CRT monitors, there used to be a screen to protect us from the reflections, the radiations from the monitors. You remember? There used to be a screen protector. They will hang it. Yes. You can also use glasses to protect your eyes, your vision. Now there are chairs that are designed in such a way that when you sit, your spine, because you will sit for long hours, your spine will be what? Your back will be protected. One of the health risks, especially with data entry workers, those who deal with data entry a lot, is what? Your wrist. To the extent that if you are engaged in a high-level data entry job, you type a lot, your wrist. People have gone through surgery to correct problems in their wrists. Yes, they call it carpal tunnel syndrome. Yes, it's a risk from the use of syndrome. They will cut and fix some few things in your Those are the health implications. No information system or information technology is foolproof. Do you agree with me? No technology is foolproof. True or false? When I say foolproof, there's no technology that cannot be compromised. There's no technology that hasn't got a flaw. The flaws may be unintentionally embedded in it or intentionally embedded. It may the developers can make a mistake, knowingly or unknowingly. In the case of someone configuring a system to be withdrawing one password every week, it's intentional, not so. But the software developers can make a mistake. That is why once in a while, they will have to check through the system to make sure that all the problems that are there can be detected and fixed. So once in a while, you would get updates from the softwares you are using because they have identified that there may be flaws. They have identified some flaws, either from the user's perspective, and they want to develop the system in such a way that it will be able to address the flaws that are there. Okay. Any question? Any question? Yes.
We normally buy things online. The online things that we buy,
Yes.
they will tell you that if you buy this software, like, how do we call it? Antivirus.
Yes.
$1 a month.
Okay.
Then they ask you to use your credit card.
Mm-hmm.
Use the card, bought it. At the end of the month, you see that they have deducted $100.
Okay.
So, by me, when it happened to me, they were able to get me for 2 months. Then I went to the bank. Then the bank said the only option is that they have to issue me with a new card.
Yes.
That was how it ended.
Okay. He's saying that there are software products out there. You may just sign up and they offer the product for you at $1. But you realize at the end of the month, they charge you for $100. There may be hidden costs that you didn't read about and you agreed to the terms. Apart from that, trial periods, usually they say it's free trial, or maybe the cost is very cheap for 1 month and you just forget. So the time may elapse and you forgot to cancel that was the first month. So my suspicion is that there were some hidden terms that you didn't pay attention to. Or some features you had access to. It costs. That's probably what may have cost you more. Many times antivirus, and I think next week's lecture, we'll look at how some of these platforms make money. For instance, antivirus, they will give it to you and say it's free for 30 days. After 30 days, you still need the antivirus. So what do? Many of us will uninstall and do what? And install again. But it may recognize that this is the same machine, so it won't work. Are you getting it? So after the 30-day period, you may be asked to now pay, say, $10 a month. But if the 30-day period elapsed and you don't remember to cancel, you had already subscribed for the free trial, you don't remember to cancel, you have entered your card details, what happens? They will deduct it. And they will keep deducting it, whether you use or you don't use. Eh? You will know. Yes. I says he wants to find out the difference between adopting and adapting technology. When we adapt technology, we are just customizing the technology to suit our needs. We are adapting it. When you adapt, you change it to suit the organization's need. When you adopt, just as it is, you have taken it to use. So it's a continuum. It's like when the technology is built, you have access. It's like when you buy a mobile phone. When you buy a mobile phone, there's a difference between you just having the mobile phone and using the mobile phone. Are you getting it? But one comes after the other. But you can use a mobile phone for things that were not designed to be done by a mobile phone. So when you now use a mobile phone for activities or things that the mobile phone wasn't designed to use originally, you have adapted that technology. Are you getting it? But in the first instance, it's meant to do what? Make calls, get access to internet, and you have adopted it. Are you getting it? You must first of all adopt the technology before you can use it. Not adapt it. You must first of all adopt it before you can use it. Are you getting it? Also, you must first of all adopt it before you can adapt it. So there are some, yes.
Please, what are the ethical issues with these days? You see free apps that will give you free access to the internet. Yes, you see an
I've seen it.
Yes,
you've not seen it.
You have free access.
Yeah, they provide a list of links, and they say free internet access. That when you click on it, you have access to free internet.
And it really
so
happens.
You might imagine me. I went home last week one evening, and my people were telling me in the house that now they have access to the internet. That now they won't worry me about, with my table net or whatever. And I keep complaining how they use my data. No, now they won't worry me. Oh, they have shown me how to use free internet, and that's what we are using. It wasn't long. I don't know what happened. I said, okay, good luck. It wasn't long. They came back to my table net. And I had seen that link earlier on TikTok. Somebody shared a video about how you can have access to free internet by clicking on some links. If you click on it, it takes you to some other links. Then you choose where you are, Germany, whatever, you connect, you have access.
Apps on Google Play Store. You install it, then it will give you
free access.
Yes.
Oh, okay, we'll explore that. Yes. Their content. Yeah, they use you to gather views, and we know we like a lot of free things. So I don't know if you have also seen these links being shared on WhatsApp. Click on this link and you get 10 gig free.
Not true.
How? Yeah, so remember, you should be guided by the what? The no free lunch rule. Yeah, there's a cost to it. When you click on it to get the free stuff, there's a cost to it. They are gathering your data and making money off you. Okay. All right, thank you very much. This brings us to the close of the lecture. We said we were going to do an hour, but we have ended up using our 2 hours. I hope the others would stick to the 1 hour. Maybe a cup of coffee would have been okay to wake us up. Okay, so today we are going to be looking at information systems in a different context. But one thing we would do always would be to go back and build on the concepts we have looked at earlier. Today's main focus would be on strategy. That would be the main focus, information systems and strategy. But before we do that, we'll go back a little bit again to look at information systems, organizations in perspective. I say this because if you look at the first lecture, which was an introduction to management information systems, then the second lecture, we were looking at business processes and how we can perceive a group of business processes as an organization. So you would see that both two concepts are here. The only new concept here is the concept of strategy. So to do that, our focus would be to try and see how organizations relying heavily on information systems, how they can use the information systems to do better than other organizations. In other words, how can organizations rely on information systems to achieve a competitive advantage over others? Basically, that's what the lecture would be about. So to do that, we'll go a little bit back to look at some features of organizations that you as managers need to know in order to either acquire, build, or implement information systems. The features are necessary because every organization would have some unique features in terms of the organizational culture, in terms of organizational politics, in terms of the organizational structure. So the information systems we implement will depend on some of these things. So we'll look at some features. Now, the concepts we are going to be looking at in 3.1 will largely be management concepts. Then we'll look at the impact of information systems on organizations. Here, our focus would be on two things. Last week, we were very emphatic about something. We said that if we are introducing information systems into an organization, the impact can be transformational. You remember? Means the impact can be either we are changing a completely new business model, the way we used to operate, we are overhauling everything, or we just want to streamline some processes. This is where we look at transformational changes and incremental changes. So here, we are going to build on that understanding. But our focus here will not be on incremental or just transformational. We want to look at it using another perspective. And under 3.2, our focus would be to look at the impact of information systems in terms of economic impacts. We'll also try to look at some behavioral impacts of information systems on organizations. Then I started off by saying that the new concept we're introducing today is strategy. So we want to look at some factors, which if an organization wants to do better than its competitor, relying on information systems, the organization must take these factors very, very seriously. So we'll draw on Michael Porter, who is a marketing guru and a researcher. We'll draw on Michael Porter's concepts to be able to explain how an organization can achieve or attain a competitive advantage over another organization. Okay. So you get the passwords for everybody. So when we look at that, the competitive forces model, that will just be the first part. The second part would be for us to look at the value chain model. And with the value chain model, we are going to be building on our understanding of what a business process is. And we looked at it last week. Series or number of activities would follow to accomplish what? A task. When we get to the value chain, we'll discuss a number of activities in the organizational context and how information systems can be used to enhance or improve it. So for instance, if we look at warehouse planning system or material planning systems, last week we were looking at if you want to automate the warehousing process, you can have a system you can build a system or acquire a system that will institute a minimum order level of stock, a reorder level of stock, a maximum order level of stock, so that anytime your stock level reaches a particular threshold, then your suppliers will be automatically informed. We will also look at synergies, and synergies basically, we will be interested in the concept of 1 + 1 is equal to 3. And our understanding of synergies largely will draw us to understand what we mean by the value web. So we'll explain this. So every organization, the bottom line is that every organization will have a series of activities it must follow to accomplish organizational objectives or specific tasks. So if organization A is doing A, B, C to accomplish a task, and organization B is doing X, Y, Z. Now, if they want to work together, it will mean that the value chain or the processes or activities of organization A is going to be combined in some way at some advanced level with organization B, which has X, Y, Z. In that case, we will not only be looking at one series of activities or a value chain. We'll be looking at what? A measure of what? Value chains, which we will refer to as the value web. Then we'll also look at some maybe critical things. Even if we don't want to work with each other, organizations don't want to work with each other. There are some core strengths they have, which they can leverage on to do better than other organizations. Then we'll also look at network economics. What do we mean by network economics in terms of information systems? So let me give an example. We'll come to that, but let me give an example. Anybody here with iPhone 14? I keep referring to iPhone 14. Maybe I don't know why it's always on my mind. Anybody here with iPhone 14, 13, Samsung, 13 is there. Now, we all know the value of such a mobile phone. Somebody will always say, Asasi is plot of land. You are holding in your pocket. We all know the value of that. So assuming you have the latest iPhone, which cannot make calls, what will be the value of the phone? It's just valueless. So the value of the phone is actually in the fact that it is able to let you connect with. So that is the concept we refer to as network economy. A lot of the things we deal with in the information age are reliant on the concept of network economy. It's because you are able to use it to relate with others or connect with others. That is what makes it valuable. Just look at what we are going through today, these things. If we connect it, we cannot project. So the effect, the value of this just reduces to almost near to nothing. Okay. Muda. Answer this call outside. Okay, then the last part. What are the challenges posed by strategic information systems, and how should they be addressed? So fairly an interesting and straightforward topic. So the reason why I want us to also look at the term paper today is because the concepts we have discussed in the last two lectures and the concept we are discussing today, all of those are needed for you to be able to do this particular assignment. Now, the university's grading system, which Prof. Haruna showed on the day of the orientation, 40% continuous assessment, and then 60%. So it means you just need 60%, 20% in the exam to be able to get a B. So ordinarily, if we give, it's coming, okay. Ordinarily, if we give assignments, very detailed and time-consuming assignment, it means you should be able to get, and you do it well, you should be able to get between 30 and 40. If you get your 30 and 40 in the exam, you just battle for maybe 29, 30, 31, you are through. You are through. But unfortunately, there are always people who would not take it serious. And then they will be struggling to get the 60, no, the 60, I don't think at this level you should be interested in getting all the 60 in the exam. I mean, I wouldn't be so much interested in that. Okay. So maybe midway during the lecture, if I see that I have to pause and look at this, we will do that. But my intention is that at the end of the lecture, we'll look at this and then we'll decide on some things. So I want to find out what is an organization. We said we are going to look at features of an organization. We can look at organizations from different contexts or perspectives. What is an organization? The class is supposed to be very interactive. What is an organization? You can't use my accounting tutors example. An organization means to organize. You can't say that. Yes. Okay. A group of people pursuing a common goal. Any other? Okay. Yeah, so he's relying on the concept of what? Business processes, which we looked at in the last lecture. So this, I will run over this quite quickly. We can have a technical definition of what an organization is by looking at it as a formal social structure that produces resources from the environment to produce outputs. If you look at this definition, what comes to mind? Yes. Okay. Yeah. That's quite advanced. I wasn't looking at it from that angle. Yeah, but you are right. Any other? Remember that the technical definition is saying that it is a formal structure that processes resources. The key word for me there is the resources are from an environment. And then that formal structure will use it to do what? To produce what? Output. So what term in this course will you relate this to? System. Excellent. It means we are looking at, in this technical definition, we are perceiving an organization as some sort of what? A system, something. But the law people will tell you, maybe Mr. Frank, I will tell you that when we are talking about an organization, we are interested in what? A legal entity. From where we sit, we are interested in this. We are looking at an organization as what? A system. The behavioral definition also sees an organization as a collection of rights, which is similar to what the gentleman referred to. A collection of rights, privileges, obligations, and responsibilities that are delicately balanced over a period of time through conflict and conflict resolution. The sociologists will tell you that we'll define an organization from this particular perspective. So we can look at organization based on the technical definition. We can say that an organization looks like this. Takes resources from the environment, then through some processes, changes it to output back into the environment. And remember, the first day of the lectures, one of the features of a system or characteristics of a system we mentioned was the fact that a system will always have an input, processing, output. But we also said that a system would always have what we refer to as a feedback loop. You remember? Yes. So if the outputs are not up to standard, there should be some corrective mechanism to change the next line of what? Inputs. But if everything is up to scratch, up to standard, then the feedback would be some kind of a reinforcement mechanism to ensure that the organization will continue to perform the way it was performing. Okay. Now, when we say that an organization is some kind of a system taking resources from the environment and producing outputs and sending it to an environment, there are a lot of things that would characterize the organization. Some of those things are structure. And when we talk about structure, we mean that an organization can be a one-man organization, true or false. Yeah, partnership, corporate entities. The hierarchy. If it is a one-man entity, the hierarchy, if it's a partnership, if it's a corporate entity, the hierarchy would be different. So would be the division of labor. And when we are talking about the division of labor, we are just interested in how different tasks are shared to divisional units. Then the rules and procedures, which are critical parts of an information system, would also differ in terms of the nature of what? The organization. The business processes would also differ. The culture would also differ. The culture in educational institutions are different from the culture in what? In banks. So we are saying that all of this would characterize an organization. Processes, rights, and obligations. So you see that depending on the way we define the organization, the characteristics will be different. So if you look at here, we are looking at the behavioral definition. We are looking at processes, rights and obligations, privileges, values, norms, and the people who are there. But you will see that here, whilst the people are not included, culture would cover or take care of that. So the features in organizations. So I mentioned that the structure is very important. For instance, if it's a one-man organization or just 2 or 3 people, there's what we call red tape. The chain of command or communication, it will be shorter and a bit more straightforward. For instance, and a bit more straightforward than if it is a corporate entity. If it is a military organization, the chain of command will be different than if it is an educational institution. So the issues of accountability and authority would differ depending on what? The structure or hierarchy in the organization. All organizations subscribe to the principle of what? Efficiency. We all want to do well so that the organization's output will be better all the time. Also, all organizations are characterized by routines and business processes. All these are management concepts. So let me leave it and we move on. We are saying just in the last slide that organizations are characterized by routines and business processes, which we have looked at in the past, last week. So I'm not going to explain what business processes are. Okay. Now, there's a two-way relationship between an organization and information technology. Two-way relationship between an organization and information technology. And to be able to explain that, I want us to look at this diagram carefully. Understanding what an organization is We are done with that. We have also looked at what an information technology is. Do you remember? Information technology in lecture 1, we indicated that it is a subset of the information system, because here the people are not part. But we're saying that if an organization is going to adopt an information, so this way means the organization is going to maybe adopt or implement an information technology. It means that the organization does what? Influences the information technology. But this way means what? The information technology is influencing organization. And these are the middlemen, the factors that mediate the relationship between organizations and what? Information technology. So I want us to discuss one particular concept. Now, is it possible that, let's look at information, assuming this is even, let's look at it from a broader context, then we narrow it down to the organizational context. Is it possible that information technology can shape a society? How? Is it possible? So there are two questions we need to discuss. Is it possible that information technology can shape a society or an organization? Is it possible that an organization can shape an information technology? So let's discuss practically. The first one, how would information technology shape an organization? The second one is how organizations will shape information technology. An example, practical example. Yes. Okay. From the okay, so technology, if I got you right, technology is brought from outside into the organization. So let me ask you, if you bring the technology into the organization and it doesn't fit our business processes, assuming the technology is not malleable, you can't easily just change it, customize it, what happens? He has mentioned one key, it is what? Useless. Did you hear what he said? So it means that if we're introducing technology into an organization, then it means that certain things are very, very important. The organizational environment. What kind of organization are we bringing the technology into? Will it fit? The culture. The people don't like technology, and you are bringing technology. What will they do? They will sabotage it. Are you getting it? That's one. Apart from not liking, the people are largely illiterate folk. So when we are saying organization, we don't necessarily mean that everybody is educated. The group could be an illiterate folk. If you bring in technology which demands a high level of literacy, it means the technology will not fit. It won't work. The structure, it is easier if it is just one man business, you are adopting technology. Even if it's training, complementary, after the investment will just be on you. If it is just 3 people in the organization, cost of investment to train the people will be lower. If it's like UDS, over 1,000 people, you can imagine. The nature of the business processes. So the example you give, you are bringing in the technology. You didn't consider the business processes. And you brought it, and now you realize that it won't fit. This technology doesn't do what we are doing. But you have already paid and taken your 10%. This happens a lot at the national level. Look at the addressing system. Yesterday, I was just teasing a colleague. I went to him and in front of his gate, Conakry Street. And I was like, hey, Master, you are on Conakry Street. Education reach from here. Yeah. So it won't fit. Politics. Meanwhile, the people already have their names, and now you have brought it. So the technology, nobody will even go online and be looking for Conakry Street. So the technology is off. It won't fit. Politics. When we say politics, we are not only referring to national politics, organizational politics. Management decisions. Those guys at the top. Remember, those guys at the top, what kind of system do they use? Decision support systems, yeah. And then executive, yes. Yes, so just a minute, I have to take this off.
manage laundry is what is used. So you
Okay. So what was I even saying?
were talking about
Yes,
mediators.
the mediators. Management, we're at management decisions. Yes. Yes. So the core concept here, in terms of information technology being introduced into an organization, then the second one, the second perspective would be organizations influencing the information technology. Can someone give an example of the second one? Okay. Yes.
The majority of the people are here. So because of the whole the debt can easily
Okay.
yeah, so because of that, they don't have mobile app. They don't use some of the they don't use BSS.
Okay.
So they go by only the text message.
Okay.
So that if they withdraw, they get text message.
Okay.
If they their money, they get text message.
Okay.
So it is rather the people within the organization or those assets who are determining what
Type of technology. Exactly. That's what I'm driving at. So the people in the organization can determine, or the nature of the processes, the culture can determine the type of technology that should be brought in. So you can look out in the market. There are two main ways you can acquire technology. Either you develop it in-house or you outsource it. Someone will develop, or it's already developed and you acquire. So if you realize that you can't even get what is out there to fit exactly what you want to do, so you may have to develop it in-house. Before it's developed, you may have to talk to the people who are working on the ground to understand, yes. Yes, the organization influencing technology. Okay. 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 Yes, or the society influencing that technology. I'm happy you are using WhatsApp. That's a very good example. In fact, there are a lot of features in WhatsApp today that are largely influenced by the users. The users. When WhatsApp first came, depending on where you sit, it wasn't largely targeted for business purposes, true or false. But in the developing country context, we appropriated that technology for what? For business. Then later on, WhatsApp business came up. Instead of just sharing your status and updating your friends and family about what is going on in your life, people were updating product details. Now, WhatsApp has developed in a way that it takes care of what? The business aspects of what? Social media. Lecture 1, we looked at the concept of what? Social business. So a technology which wasn't designed for business has now become a social business technology because of what? The social shaping of the technology. So this is a theory in information systems. Social shaping, the individual, the organization, or the society can shape the nature of technology that comes into that organization. Then the other one is technology determinism. That one, you have your processes. The technology is out there. Either you use it or you use it. Because if you don't use it, you have no alternative. So you adopt it. You will have to try and suit the demands of what? The technology. Any specific example of such a technology? The technology is there. So you pick and change your process to suit it. You don't change the technology.
The delivery platforms.
Delivery platforms?
Yes, the food vendors are there.
Okay.
And now, because of the technology, that can either get them more customers or get their food delivered to their customers.
Okay.
They adapt the technology and now acquaint themselves with the technology so that they will be able to serve the customers.
So are you saying there are two keywords here? Are you saying they adopt the technology or they adapt the technology? Do you realize there are two different things? Are you saying they adopt or they adapt? Because if it is adapt, then we are talking about what? Shaping. So what do you mean there? Are you getting the difference? There's a difference yes. The fee paying in universities. Okay. Yeah, you can change it in a way. So users have no option. So look at it this way. Your example, look at it this way. Assuming there was a technology out there, a university management system, and UDS adopted it. There's one popularly used by UG, acquired out there. They didn't develop it. In UDS case, they developed it. So assuming UDS picked that one, I want you to look at it from organizational perspective, not from the perspective of the student or the user, the organizational perspective. So if they adopted such a technology and they realize that some of the processes in the university can't fit into this software, what will they do? In the context of technology determinism, what will they do? You don't understand the question. Good. Please, if you don't understand, you tell me you don't understand. We are saying that the technology is out there. The university goes to pick it. They adopt it. But they realize that some of their processes don't fit into that technology. So what can they do? Yes. They abandon it or they adopt, they change some of their processes to align with the technology. In that case, the technology did what? Determined the way the organization, so that's what we refer to. So in looking at this particular concept, yes, mobile money in the context of so mobile money payment services. Okay, that service is there. So organizations pick it, they can't do anything about it. They have to. Okay, yes. Vehicle tracking systems. So all your example should be in a particular context. In what context? Okay. So are you saying, okay. You have to get that chip. Okay. You can't change anything about it. You just have to. Okay. Yeah. Good example. Any other item? Online tuition. Okay. I'm out. Yeah. Yes. Instead of you determining how. So if you are going to, which of this would explain or fit into this? An organization developing a software in-house, which one would it fit? If an organization decides that, okay, we have the capacity, we have the men, we always own the resources, we want to develop, so it will be easier with social shaping of technology. But if we are mostly going to bring from outside, it is more likely that it will be technology determinism, unless we change some of our processes. Okay. So exams will be like that. You see, so you just need to understand these two concepts, the factors, and you have an appropriate example in mind, and you use it to explain that you can't forget, and you don't have to chew it. Yeah, so this is what we have just explained, how the relationship is influenced by these factors. Any question? Now, I want us to look at this diagram too. The organization and its environment. Now, this colored purple portion this is an eye. First of all, look at it from that point of view. This is an eye, and this is a lens. And the lens is the information system. And this is the system, this is the firm, and this is the organization or the firm's what? External environment. We are saying that the way, without this lens, which is the information system, the view of the firm in terms of this will be very, very, very narrow. The view of the firm. We are looking at, when we say the firm or the organization now, from now on, we are looking at a firm or organization in the information age. So an organization that is highly reliant on technology. Without an information system, the view of the firm in terms of government, its competitors, customers, financial institutions, culture, the knowledge in the organization, and the technology it is going to adopt or use will be very, very, very myopic. But with an information system, the view of these factors in terms of the organization will change. You agree with me? How would an information system influence the view of the firm in terms of the culture out there? So there's a culture in the organization's environment. The firm is here, the firm has an information system. But the firm wants this environment, which has a peculiar culture, to adopt the information system so that the organization or the firm can serve them better. Without this, we will not be able to alter the culture in terms of either this or that. Do you understand what I'm saying? So our understanding of the mediating factors is in a way affecting how the firm would see all these factors through its information system. So the information system sort of serves as the lens through which the firm would perceive and interact in an efficient and effective way with these institutions and these factors. There are instances where maybe a system can be introduced, but because of the culture, nobody will use it. They will just continue with it. They will feel as if nothing has even happened. Look at the Ghana Post GPS. Sorry, I have to constantly use this example. Anybody here who has ever used it to look for an address or a location? You have been using Google Maps. Google Maps. Which one? The Ghana Post GPS.
Snap it. Now, that board.
That board.
I'll just enter it into my GPS, the Ghana Post app. Then it will give me the location.
So culture. So fine, you are using that, but let's look at it from just this point of view. Culture. I can't read. I can't read. Listen, I can't read. I can't do all what you are saying. But I know that if I just go to WhatsApp and they tell me that if I click on this, that's location, and I send. You have this option and you have the Ghana Post option. As an illiterate, somebody with low literacy rate, what will you do? WhatsApp. You will choose the WhatsApp. Why?
The interface or the interaction.
Good. Good. So as a firm who wants to have wide, to interact with a lot of customers, suppliers, which one would you prefer to be located? Which one would you direct your customers to? You are getting the picture now. Yes. So the culture is very, very important. Apart from that, the organizational resource, the time you might put in to educate people to use this Ghana Post thing, it will be much more expensive than just telling them to use a simpler app. Now, a lot of these technologies, when they are introduced, can two things from last week, incremental, transformational. Then this week we'll change it. But we also want to say that some of these technologies, when you adopt them, whatever you were doing would completely be destroyed, may be destroyed. An example of such a technology, when that technology was introduced, the traditional way of doing things died off. Huh? Posting letters and what? So it should be in conjunction with another technology. Posting physical letters and email. Yes. So it means that we are considering email as a disruptive technology, because when this particular technology was introduced, it had a sweeping change in the way communication in terms of writing letters was done. Any other?
Android technology.
Yes, just a minute. The use of white cards. How was the former system like? Few. Yeah, use an SSD and get your serials and log in. Yes. Any other? Yes. There's a particular traditional example. Yes. Banking and going to the bank. So it has reduced mobile money. ATM. Now, ATM, you don't have to go in. You can just go in. When you go, there are 2 outlets. You can deposit. I have serious reservations about deposit. I have been assured many and time again that it's I've never used it. I have my reservations. Any other? Yes. The phone centers, telecommunication or communication centers. Let's not look at this from a very advanced point of view. Yellow, and taxi. Look at when these things came, taxi, and they had some demonstration. They were kicking against it because they felt that the taxi industry was being destroyed. And it has destroyed it. That is an example of what a disruptive technology. So when such a technology is introduced, usually there would be some organizations that will bring the technology, and there will be some organizations that will have the resources to capitalize on the technology and make a lot of money. By the time a new disruptive technology is coming, they have made their money, they will jump onto that technology, and continuously they will be the leaders. So we'll look at some examples like that. If you look at, there used to be this guy, if you are old enough, there was this guy in front of the Ghana Post Office typing letters those days. Is he still there? With a typewriter. Then came, is that guy still there? His office is there. They still prefer. Okay, but so just suppose that technology, the typewriter, and just type in your letter on your computer. You know, when that guy makes a mistake, if you go, there's a bin there used to be a bin just by his chair. Then he will be crumbling the papers and the carbon paper in there. They use carbon papers. But with technology, Microsoft came with a technology. Look, you don't need to even use stencil to anything to cancel it. You just press the backspace, you cancel. No buying of ink. You just cancel, type again, backspace, delete, and then you can do it over and over and perfect it. When you are sure, you print. So Microsoft Word, and then the typewriter. So Microsoft Office is a disruptive technology as against, yes. Okay, tractors and fiscal farming. Okay. Okay, tractors and fiscal farming. Okay. Yes, Ross. Yes. 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 There was a particular SIF match, and the journalists were put in a tipper truck. Do you remember? You could have said that without saying your mama. Yes, but today it's just a drone. You fly a drone, and then you'll be able to capture wide range. Yes. So personal computers. Look, communication centers she mentioned. You would go queue. Oh, if you were schooling somewhere, you would have to go use a telephone booth. Remember? I remember our undergraduate days. There used to be a particular booth in Legon. You would see the queue in the evening, long queue. People will be there after this person. You would go with your card. You insert it and wait. One funny thing used to happen those evenings. People would go there, and then there's a long queue. And if you are calling your girlfriend or whatever, the guys will be there, especially a lot of guys from Commonwealth. They'll be there at the back. So anytime they hear somebody say, "Me too," they'll start insulting. They will insulting. Apparently, the issue was that the person is shy. And maybe the girlfriend is saying, "I love you." And he's looking at the girlfriend saying, "Me too." Yes. So companies like Microsoft will be referred to as first movers because they invent the disruptive technology. So there are a lot of first movers. But organizations that have the resources to be able to capitalize on that technology are called fast followers. And fast followers, this particular concept is very relevant in Tamale. Some of you who are into business would notice this. In Tamale, if you go into a particular area and people realize that, this guy, before you realize, everybody is doing, yes. The late Sule Garba used to say, Garba Lodge was one of the first lodges around, and everybody just started something lodge. Yes, we call them fast followers. Now we want to look at the impact of information systems on organizations. Still look at it from that diagram we presented. Technology and what? This one. This one. Organizations and information technology. So we want to look at it from several perspectives. One perspective of the impact of information systems or information technology on organizations is the economic impact. Economic impact. Please refer to last week's lecture. Introduction of information technology or system in the organization. Incremental, the processes, or transformational. We are taking another perspective. We want to look at it in terms of economic impacts, and also we would look at it from another perspective in terms of supervision or agency. So the first one, economic impact. Now, if you want the cost of participating in a market, in economics, they call it transaction costs. So if you want to sell something, maybe traditionally you would need to be able to participate in a market, you need a market stall. You will need some registrations to be done. All this will come as the cost of taking part in that market. But with the advent of technology, there are ways you can participate in a market with minimal costs. So for instance, if I no longer need my laptop, I can list it on several platforms without a fee. Even if I'm not using any platform, I can list it on my status without a charge. And people can do what? Can buy it. I get it. So the cost of selling that product, the cost of putting that advert on maybe Jonathan or Gigi or whatever is what? Very, very low. So we call that transaction cost. So based on transaction cost theory, information technology, when adopted, will reduce the cost of participating in a market. Yes. So the first explanation of the impact of information technology or information systems in organizations, we are using the explanation, we are borrowing from economics, and we are using the transaction cost theory. Are you following? Transaction cost basically is the cost of what? Participating in a market. We are saying that with technology, it is easier to participate in some markets. It is cheaper to participate in some markets, and we have given examples of that. Those of you who work in banks, another critical aspect of the impact of technology in organizations is supervision. Several branches, maybe 15 years ago, the area manager or branch manager or whatever will be roaming around with a pickup to try and monitor what is going, maybe weekly rounds to try and monitor what is going on in various branches. Today, they may be using some kind of technology to be able to do that monitoring. An example of how several branches are monitored seamlessly with the use of technology.
Like the head of operations can sit down and determine the actual balance of a particular branch, every branch,
Okay.
and the cash position of every branch.
Okay.
And if branches have limits, if they exceed or they are below, you will know. And if they exceed, they are supposed to repatriate the cash to the nearest Bank of Ghana cash point.
Okay.
So this is a small example of that.
Okay. Any other? CCTV camera. Yes, reliance on CCTV cameras to monitor. Yes. So it means cost of supervision, because of technology, cost of supervision is what? Low. Eh? Clock in. Yes. Yes. Clock in. Some time ago, when we were in WA, then they introduced, those of you who are in UDS, they introduced a biometric system. Login, right? So you either use your fingerprint or whatever, because people would close, they would say they are going to pick their kids and then they are gone. So they introduced some kind of technology there. Okay, just text my name and number. So they introduced some kind of technology. So when we're talking about it, and one administrator said, so they are doing this internally. If they bring it to WA, we'll use our template and log in and go home. When it's time for closing, we'll come and log out. Yes. So supervision, clocking in systems, especially biometric ones, can be used to lower the cost of what? Supervision. So we are looking at the economic impacts. So we are saying using what? Transaction cost theory, lower transaction cost of. Then we are also using agency theory. Agency cost or agency theory basically says that there's one person called the principal and another person is the agent. The principal delegates some responsibilities to the agent and supervises or whatever. So if we bring in technology, the principal, it will be easier for the principal to just monitor what the agent is doing. And if we relate it to organizations with several subunits or branches, then we can say that the introduction of technology will reduce agency costs. Yes. The economic impact transaction cost theory, then agency supervision will reduce. Now, information technology within the organization also flattens the organizational structure. So this is a traditional organizational structure. The traditional organizational structure has somebody at the very top. It has dried up. So this is what we looked at last week. The top strategic, right? This will be the management, and this will be the tactical or the operational level. We will need practical examples to explain this. IT flattens organization. Decision making is pushed to lower levels. So in a highly command-driven organization, like in the military or security agencies, there's a structure, well-defined structure. But this structure can be managed better with information technology. So in a typical organization, if you have to communicate with this person, traditionally, it will pass through minuting upon minuting, procedure upon procedure before it gets here. But if you are relying a lot on technology, it means that if you maybe want to apply for something with technology, the easiest would be what? To just send a letter to your manager and maybe copy whoever is concerned. Are you getting it? So at that level, maybe as a security or just a lower level staff, you can easily communicate with anybody at the top without going through that traditional hierarchy. That is why we're saying that when we introduce information technology in organization, one impact would be that it will do what? It will flatten the organizational. And if we also rely on it, the way we make decisions will be much, much more effective. So a traditional hierarchical organization with many levels of management can be reduced to, can be flattened by removing some of the layers, and the organization the organizational structure can be flattened like this. It is not always that when you are introducing information technology that people would welcome it. What often happens? They will resist it because many a time we think that the technology is coming to what? To replace us. That is why we often will resist. So as a manager yourself, what will you do so that when the technology finally comes, they would accept it? The best way to do that would be not to use technology determinism. They are just sitting there before they realize they are offloading computers and installing everything. Then they pick some few people, they are favorite, send them for training and come back. We don't know what is happening. But if you start consulting and telling everybody that technology is going to be introduced, how do you want the technology to address or improve the way you do things? In that case, we are looking at what? Social shaping of technology. When the technology finally comes, they will embrace it and they will use it. We all heard the foreign minister chanting on a read passport. Yes, yes. How did the system come? So people have found their way. Maybe they adopted something like this. They just introduced it. They got their, and a lot of technologies introduced or being implemented at the national level. They use this one. We are just there before we realize they are going to do this. Everybody should change. 9-day wonder. 9-day wonder. They'll get their 10%, they are gone. And then we revert back to the old ways of doing things. Another government comes, they go and bring another technology, they go another technology, and on and on and on. But if you are a manager and you know some of these basic things, at least you will be able to. So let's look at this. Some of the things that may lead to the resistance to change. Some of the things that may lead to the resistance, the nature of the technology. What kind of technology have you witnessed being introduced in our organization? But because of the nature, maybe the technology, if users are going to rely on it, it will collect sensitive data. So that's the nature of the technology. It collects sensitive data. But because of that, people are not comfortable using it so that their sensitive data will be sent to somebody else. So they may not use it. There may be several other factors. Depending on the nature of business processes, the job task, the technology is introduced, everybody in the organization will say, that's not the way we work. As for this technology, it won't work because of the task. They will resist it. The organizational structure. We didn't consider, remember when we were looking at the mediating factors, the structure was a critical part. So the organizational structure, because of the way the organization operates or the structure of the organization, the CEO says he is the founder. So he's no longer in the organization, but the fact that he's the founder, there's a CEO, but he says he's the founder. Anything they are going to procure from outside, he must have a hand in it. So technology is being introduced. Everybody has been consulted because the manager is aware of social shaping of technology. So he wants the technology to be accepted. So everybody is consulted. Founder hears of it and says, I have my vendor already. So set everything aside, give it to him, and I'll get my 10% and go. When the technology comes, people will not accept it because, and what would have been the cause? The structure in the organization. The people themselves, individually, if they have been taken in our organizations, government sector, people have been getting their bribes through a particular procedure because there's no technology. And then you bring in technology, what do you think they will do? So this also ties into culture. What will they do? They will just sabotage it and tell you that they will give you evidence that the system is not working. That is why the passport system. What are they saying? That there are no booklets. But if you give a bribe of 1,000, they will produce booklets. Same day and print it for you. So the people. Politics can also be embedded in this. So politics at the national level is what is actually affecting them because the Guru boys, they are not even employees, but they determine whether the technology should be.
Sometimes the managers depend on them as well.
The Guru boys, they don't only depend on them, they work together. It's a cabal. So they tell you it's not there, and then they refer to, but if you see so and so, it will be done. Then, yes. Unfortunately, this has crept into our educational system. Very, very unfortunate. I always say that when this thing permeates our health system, yes. So everybody these days, everybody is trying to train a health professional in his or her family. Yes, because the confidence is not there. Bribery. But when it comes to human lives, it's something else. So these are some of the things that can affect. Now, with all this adapting technology we are talking about, how can an organization use it? Whether it is a disruptive technology, you are using this concept to try and introduce it. How can you do it such that when the technology is being used, your organization will be more efficient, more competitive than the rival, the other organizations. So Porter says that I like diagrams, so I'm going to rush through this and explain it. Yes. So Michael Porter says that there are some factors that will determine whether an organization can do better than its competitor if it relies on information systems. Then it lists these factors, 5 factors: new market entrants, suppliers, customers, substitute products, and competitors. Now, remember we initially indicated that the organization works in an environment. The diagram I showed earlier, it takes resources from its environment, production, and takes something output into yes. So all the 4 are outside of a particular environment. Before we explain this, I want to find out. You would have been wondering, I'm saying 5 factors. 4 are outside the oval, and 1 is inside. Why? Before we explain it, why? New market entrants, suppliers. So just keep the question at the back of your mind. Customers and substitute products. We are saying that if an organization is going to rely on IT to do better than its competitors, it must consider these factors, these management concepts. It must consider substitute products. What are substitute products? Business economics will tell you substitute products. Products that will. So let's give an example of a product and its substitute. Huh? Is that a popular example in your? Okay, so Milo and Bombita. Okay, let's give our example in the context of technology. Okay, MTN what? MTN is a company. Vodafone is a company. WhatsApp and Telegram. They are substitute products. Yes. So I'm back to the MTN and Vodafone. What products are substitutes in those?
MTN internet service.
Okay. Yeah, they are broadband service and okay, they are substitute products because they do the same thing. Then customers. We all know who customers are. Customers are those we sell to. Then suppliers. They are those we buy from. And then new market entrants. To understand the concept of new market entrants, see the organization or yourself as already operating within a particular market environment. So this is the market environment. And some outsiders want to enter that market. You have to rely on technology to deal with them. That is one way you can. So you identify this as a force. But to be able to deal with this force, you have to identify the technology you can leverage on to deal with this new market entrant. Suppliers. Maybe traditionally, this particular supplier uses some particular technology which only your competitor has access to. So for you to be able to also connect with this supplier, you also need to up your technology, organizational technologies in such a way that when you approach the suppliers, you can also have a fair share of their products. Are you getting it? Then the customers are already being served in a way. So how can you rely on technology to serve them better than your competitors? So you call a particular customer service line, which you have called before, or you have never called before, but because you have bought a product from them, and the customer service agent answers. So, hello, Mr. Dramani, how may I help you? You didn't even introduce yourself. How will you feel? Then you call another customer service line and say, who is on the line? So the way they treat you, customer relationship management. So you can adopt some CRM, customer relationship management software, which will have a database of all your customers' data, products they have bought, after sales services, when their products are due to be maintained, or are due to be maintained, and many other things, so that even before they call, you call to check up on them. Somo Vision. If you buy an AC from them, maybe about a year, they will call you and tell you that, am I speaking to so and so? Or you bought an AC from us a year ago. Your AC is due for servicing. That alone. And then they will tell you that we currently service ACs for 100 Ghana cedis. But if you come by 28th August, we'll give you a discount of 30%. The other one we won't even bother. So you keep the AC for 5 years, the AC breaks down, you go there, there's a warranty, and they tell you that, no. We no longer sell this AC, so the warranty is not valid. They can't even remember whether they sold the product to you or not. Are you getting it? So because of that, it is easier for the customers to do what? To switch. So in order to ensure that your customers are repeat customers, how do you rely on technology to let them come back or tell others to come and subscribe? You leverage on technology and serve the customers better. In our context, how are we leveraging on technology to serve our customers better? Online lecture. Recorded lectures.
WhatsApp group that's shared.
Are you getting it? So we knew this market, and what did we do? We started way back, did an information session, and when we did the information session, we said, okay, give us your number. If you are interested in our programs, then we put them in the group. So some of you who are here were part from the beginning, the information session. From the information session, we moved to application session. You remember? From the application session, we moved to class. At the end of the month, we moved somewhere else. Because we are now narrowing down to the specific customers, so that we'll be able to serve them better. Are you getting it? So sometimes it is not how big the technology is, but how you perceive the technology. How will you feel if I tell you that any of you here, if you call me, I would know your name? Anybody here? Are you surprised? Anybody here, if you call me, your name will pop up. And I will mention your name. Maybe I'm using Truecaller, but maybe I've also just taken the task. So you see that there's technology to help me do that. If you have called me before, if you have not called me and I'm saving your number based on your application, I just save it. Are you getting it? So that when you call me to make an inquiry about our program, I know you already. And I know that, look, this guy, I must target him because he's interested. He was part of the information session. Let's find out, why is he not applying? Somebody has left our WhatsApp platform. Call the course rep and find out, why did he leave? All these things, when you follow up on people, even if they don't subscribe, they will say that, oh, go there. They are very particular about A, B, C, and D. So there are already technologies out there to do this. Instead of just buying or investing so much, there are already freewares out there that you can rely on to be able to do what? Serve your customers better so that they can be repeat customers. And also the substitute products. How do you rely on technology to offer products that would be seen as quality, or maybe cheaper, or maybe different? So look at it all. You can use technology to make sure that the product is cheaper, or you can use technology to make sure that the product is of quality, or use technology to ensure that the product is what? Durable. I hear when people go to China to buy things to come and sell, the Chinese will tell them, this is iPhone. This is also iPhone. This one for Africa. So they will look at it. Yeah. If you buy wax prints, you will see that these days, different. You wash it 1, 2, it's gone. Same as electronic gadgets, because substitutes are there, but relying on technology will now differentiate. This one, the new market entrance. You are already there and somebody wants to enter. How do you leverage on technology to make sure that the guy entering, he won't find it easy? Or if you are a new market entrant, how do you enter the market, rely on technology so that the one who is already there will feel your entrance? That's the firm. So assuming we as UDSS we are the new market entrants. And this is the firm, the competitor. Maybe UG. Are you getting it? As a competitor, how do we enter the market? You introduce new models, completely new business model or processes. You can rely on technology to do that. But we don't have the capacity to do that. So we rely on freeware to find out, how can you do this? Before last week, we have been planning on acquiring a smart board. This is just an example. You know a smart board? A smart board, if it's here with a projector, the accounting lecturer would use a technologically enhanced stylus or pen, sort of, and write on it, use the duster, and the ink will finish. That one, the ink will finish. It will be here. As the struggle we're having with the Zoom and the projector, it won't be there. Very expensive gadget we are planning to acquire. But last week, you will have realized Muda using the tripod and the mobile phone to do exactly what the smart board does. The smart board costs close to 50,000. But the technology he deployed does the same thing at zero cost. So when those online saw that, they said, wow, they were excited. We were also excited. How will they feel as a new market entrant? Others have been doing that, but maybe universities like Tech or maybe UG, they have smart boards because they have been in the business for a very long time. We don't have a smart board, but we are able to let our students who are all over the country see exactly what is going on in the classroom with just a mobile phone and a tripod. So as a new market entrant, if we go and tell online and advertise and say that wherever you are, you can join our lectures. Yes, to be honest with you, people have wondered how we're going to do that. How we're going to not have centers in some places and still deliver our lectures and people apply from other places. People were wondering how we're going to do that. So when it comes to accounting, what happens? We'll be left out. But we have found a solution to it because we have leveraged on technology as a new market entrant. So this one is scared, the firm, because the firm has not leveraged on that kind of technology. So as fast followers, that's what we have done. So we are on the lookout. If there's a new technology, by the time the firm, others will come or competitors will come and adopt what we are doing, we'll move on to another technology. Maybe a new or advanced smart board would have come and we'll go and acquire it. And they will now use our system. We will now tell students that, oh, our smart board can do ABC, DS cannot. Are you getting it? All this will be geared. So though investing in new market entrants, investing as a new market entrant, it will lead to what? Repeat customers. If you also have suppliers, we have been using the example of using maybe the warehousing system. Anytime stock goes to some level, seamless communication, and then. Now, back to my question. Why is the firm and the competitor in the same oval? Yes. They are in the same environment. Excellent. They are already in that same environment. Now, based on this 5 forces model by Michael Porter, if we leverage on the technology, we will have to make a decision. So we are offering substitute products. We have entered the market with some technology, serving our suppliers or customers better. How do we sustain that? How do we sustain that? How do we sustain that? We can sustain that by making some strategic decisions. So you see that all of this addressing the market forces would be investment. Based on that, whatever you are doing, the activities you are doing here, you will now make a decision. Your decision could be that in addressing all of this, we just want to concentrate on a small market, a niche market. So in our context, we said that, look, if we are able to leverage on all this technology, there will be no reason why we should go to Bolga and open a fiscal center, or go to why and open a fiscal center. We can just be here and serve them. Are you getting it? So we are concentrating on some market niche that the others are not relying on. Some universities offer their weekends on their campus alone. Others are dotted across the country. So we can also adopt one particular strategy. Then we can also say that because our competitors are offering substitute products, when we enter the market, we can make a decision that in relying on this technology, we would offer differentiated products. Our product will be so unique in such a way that it's not a substitute. Are you getting it? So unique. So we can have product differentiation. Look, the simplest strategy you can adopt based on all of this is to sell it cheap. Low cost leadership. We call it low cost leadership. You just sell it cheaper. But because of depending on the environment, rising costs of materials and other things, low cost leadership may not be an option. Maybe product differentiation, concentrating on a market niche. So those may be. So you will have to deal with the 5 forces. Then you make a decision. Are you following? Okay. Yes. Okay. Glo came in. They adopted low cost leadership, but they didn't survive. What could have accounted for that? They were offering low cost leadership, but some of the forces they would have dealt with would be they were offering a substitute product. But how unique was that product? Now, one unique product differentiation Glo was coming with was high speed. That was the product differentiation model they had. High speed, and we're all expectant, reserved numbers, connected internet, massa. You go to toilet and come back, the browser is still. So you understand. So they were coming in with product differentiation, and their major focus was not on voice calls, internet, but it didn't work. Any practical example? So low cost leadership, product differentiation, focusing on a market niche, or we strengthen our customer and supplier intimacy. Why are we always stressing on customers? Because we want to be what? Repeated. We want them to go and come back. Okay. We'll finish soon. So these are just the explanations of. Yeah. Now, back to last week's lecture, business processes. We said firms would engage in series of activities that would add value to whatever they are doing. So a business process is a series of steps. Now, remember that with this series of steps, at each step, the product changes. So take a particular raw material, which needs to be changed into a finished product for customers. The raw material at each step would change into something. It will change because what? Value is being added to it. I get it. So until it becomes a finished product, then you give it to them. So that process is what we refer to as the value chain. The value chain. So if we take our mind back and look at the information system cycle, like not information systems life cycle, information system cycle, input, processing, that's just what basic, that's what I'm referring to. We can refer to that one too as the business information value chain, because when you pick data, through that, it will transform into information. Are you getting it? So we are saying that the business value chain would be the firm's series of activities that value is added to the product as the raw materials moves from one stage to the other. So with a value chain, this series of steps, the activities in the value, a product's value chain can be divided into two. We have the primary activities and the support activities. So for instance, in this particular class, a lecturer will come, roll slides, talk, and then go deliver a service. The lecturer will first of all have to prepare the slides, try and assimilate a lot of things and come and make sure that whatever he's doing will make sense. What the lecturer is doing is what? Part of the core activities, and that is what? Primary activities. Do you understand? But there is somebody in the office there. If the first lecture ends and there is no snack, or 12:30 there is no lunch, there will be problem. There will be no concentration in the last class. That is an example of what? Support activities. So looking at this diagram, again, if we say that raw materials will move from one stage and to the end and become a finished product, how can value be added to it? Value addition for us in this course is incumbent on our reliance on what? Information technology. Value addition for us is based on our reliance on information technology. So a raw material, when we buy raw materials and change it into finished product and sell it, it passes through a number of processes. We usually have what we call the inbound logistics. Inbound logistics, basically we are referring to, the procurement people will tell you, when you buy from suppliers and the materials come in to stores. How can you improve that process? Relying on technology. You can do that by relying on or investing in an automated warehousing system. Automated warehousing system, a computerized warehousing system. So that when your stock level reaches reorder level, your suppliers are alerted either by email, SMS alert or something that stock has reached reorder level. Then you won't pay because of your credit rating, they will ship things, they will start sending things. So by the time it gets to the minimum level, there's delivery. So it means that all the time there will be what? Raw materials in stores. The same way, when the production unit is going to requisition for material from stores to go and use, if you're not careful, they will requisition and it won't go to the production unit. Huh? Where will it go to? It will go to their houses. Yeah, they will requisition, but they will just carry it home because your systems are not able to monitor pilferage. People would steal it. So it means that automated warehousing system can be external or internal, dealing with suppliers and dealing with even the production unit. Then we have operations. And with operations, this is where the raw material now is changed to what? It's changed. So you can have computer control machining systems. A computer control system that will do your designing, that will do the changes to the raw material, the production. When that is done, the product cannot just be shipped to suppliers. If you have, customers, assuming you are a new entrant and you don't have existing customers. So what will you do for the product to get noticed? So marketing. So you would have sales and marketing, and we can computerize that so that we can have a website. People can go there and order. And when they order, we are able to collate the orders, we are able to process it and send the orders to their addresses seamlessly by using computerized ordering systems. Even when we have sold to them, the product can malfunction. So we should be able to keep data of our customers in such a way that when products malfunction, or if they need after-sales services, we will know when to provide those services to them in a seamless manner. So we can have equipment maintenance systems. And then the last one, for the product to actually get to customer, we can also have outbound. Remember, we started with what? Inbound logistics. So we can have outbound logistics, automated shipment and scheduling system. If you have paid for your order and everything, you shouldn't call back to remind us that you have paid. We should just go on and package your things and ship it to you. And what you will get will be an alert and a tracking and a link to be able to track it. So all this would be part of the primary activities in the organization's value chain. But we will have support activities. The procurement guy sitting in the office and talking to the suppliers and writing all the memos and raising all the vouchers, and they are there. Then we will also have those operating the computer-aided systems will be there. The HR people, those who are recruiting everybody, they are not in the factory floor, but they play a critical role. So they are also there, the payroll and everything. Then also we have administration and management will also be there. So all of this would be support activities, and this would be what? Primary activities. So assuming this particular diagram refers to a particular industry, it means that the value chain, the industry value chain may comprise of the supplier, industry suppliers. Do you understand what it means? Suppliers. Remember, when we have a system, there's a subsystem. First lecture. So that supplier will also have the supplier. Okay. Then suppliers, the firm, then the distributors, and then it will go to the customer. So a typical organization dealing with this, maybe MTN, and there is maybe another organization, maybe not necessarily analogous or similar. Let's look at MTN and which organization could work together. Not necessarily Teleco, another Teleco. Maybe MTN and Netco. Let's look at it that way. MTN and Netco. Okay, the metering system. Yes. I believe for us to be able to use the USSD code, we will have to come to see, Netco may have to have some dealing with So Netco will have a separate value chain, how they serve their customers. MTN will have a separate value chain, how they also serve their customers. But now, because we want them to buy meters, Netco goes to MTN and said, "Oh, we want them to buy power through your network, easy, seamlessly." That customer, MTN will benefit from serving that customer. Netco will benefit from serving that customer. Are you getting it? So in this case, there will be what? An integration of value chains to be able to serve that particular customer. The banks do that a lot. Don't think that if you go to EcoBank and use your Visa card and take money, you can run to commercial bank and take. Seamless. Before you even get, I always say that the banks are never patient. You withdraw the debit. So before you get to the other end, because they have integrated their what? Their value chains. And when we have integration of value chains, we have what we refer to as the value web. A lot of value chains. So it happens these days. Our organization can barely work, can barely do it alone. So the firm's value chain is linked to value chains of suppliers, distributors, and customers. Okay, so when we say value web, we mean collection of independent firms using highly synchronized IT to coordinate value chains to produce products or service collectively. Okay, any question? So the important part in this topic, what did I say it is? Strategy. How do you address, to be able to do better, how do you address the 5 forces? Based on the 5 forces, what decision are you going to take? Relying on what? Information. All the others are peripheral issues and concepts you need to know. But the core of this topic was about that. Okay? Pick one and pass it. Yeah. One. So those online, I'm going to put the case study on the page. Where's my phone? Let me use my phone and do it. More. Oh, there should be enough. I printed 60. I'll put it on the page. The interesting thing about this class is that you don't have past questions. Somebody say, oh, that's yeah? Yeah, there are extra ones here if you haven't gotten a copy. So just okay. The class is quiet. So it says each student or a group of at most 5. There's a typo there. A group of at most 5. So you would decide whether to do it in groups or in the. I would suggest you do it in groups. Please, those online, you can click on the link to download it. So if you look at it, there are some guidelines. So if you follow it, this should, every week, you just make sure you write one section. By the time we are done, your group, you are done. The important part of this assignment is to identify an organization. That's the important part. Identify an organization. So each student or a group of 5 are required to select an organization that has developed or implemented an information system to address a specific organizational challenge. A specific organizational challenge could be that with NEDCO, there's power theft. In UDS, resource manipulation. So they adopt a resource management system, or they will adopt smart metering. Maybe a bank tool, something you can identify one. The student task entails producing a comprehensive written case study report between 2,500 to 3,000 words. It's not a lot. The 2,500, don't be scared, but it's not a lot. Yes, one page is about maybe 500 to 800 words. So our 10 pages maximum, which is not long. Huh? It's packed. We've not finished going through, and you are saying it's packed. We've not, what you have gone through. No. Wait, when we finish going through, you see that it's not packed. It's not packed. Okay. This report is expected to delve into the intricacies of the system's acquisition. So remember we said the organization can decide to just buy from outside or development or implementation or the use within a corporate social or social context. The main objective of this term paper is to serve as a demonstrative reflection of the students' assimilation of fundamental concepts indicated throughout the course. So each case study report should have a cover page and your numbers will be there. So your case study should revolve around an organization's pursuit to address a business challenge. There are there plenty. Any organization you pick, there's a challenge, and how they are using IT to deal with that. So your report should follow this particular structure. So you would have an abstract, which will be a summary of all what you have done, 150 words. So then the introduction, you should discuss the organization you have selected, the nature of the activities, the organizational structure, yeah, and all these things. If you pick some of the case studies you pick, if you go to the organization website, you will see all of this. You see that straightforward. You will see it. So the actual writing is from here, 3. Well, it's from 4 actually. The business problem or opportunity. It should not necessarily be a problem. What opportunity was there? How did they use technology to tap that opportunity? How did they use technology to address that problem? So you see the word limit is also indicated. So you first of all discuss the problem, and then you now discuss the technology-based solution. How are smart meters addressing power theft? Yes. When I say power, in Tamil people say you. Then some of the challenges, and then you list some lessons for managers. So if you are 5, identify an organization and just share the sections. Then you meet, everybody will write a section, you meet and just synchronize it nicely. But if you look at the last part, the important part is the lessons for managers. Write about 300, 400 words. This segment should conclude the case study by showcasing 3 pivotal lessons that hold relevance for managerial practitioners within an organization. If you are a manager, what have you learned from this? These lessons should be insights gleaned from the case study, providing valuable takeaways that can guide decision-making and strategic endeavors in a similar. A lot of that is just grammar. Easy. Don't be scared by it. But at least all the things we are discussing, when you are writing this, you should be reflecting on some of them. It is the purpose of this is to ensure that you don't just think that this course, you have to learn something by heart and pass and go. You should carry something with you for the rest of your. So when are you going to submit? Submission must be in soft copy only. So we have to practice what we preach. We are doing information, so nobody should print. So you will email to me. If you are any day we decide we are going to write the MIS exam, your assignment should be submitted before you go and write. Yes, 30 marks. Those online, 30 marks. So if the group gets 25 over 30, it means everybody gets 25 over 30. But what you have to ensure is that there shouldn't be free riders. So I intentionally say soft copy because some will say, oh, me, I don't have time. When you do the printing, I'll pay. They will email it, so you take part. So it's pretty straightforward. It is also important we do this because in the exam, there will be a compulsory case study. So maybe a similar case like an organization will be there. And then I will just say, read it and answer these questions. And that one would also carry majority of the 60 marks. So maybe usually 35 marks may go to the case study. It's easy because you have done this. When you see a case study, you should be able to. We will discuss that later, please. Yes, Ati. Yes. Yes. Assuming you are 5 in a group. Yes, yes. You just pick one person, the lead, but make sure your index numbers are on it. Yes.
Not more than.
Not more than 5. Not more than 5. Not more than 5. Because even if it's going to be 5, 5, 5, 5, some maybe 3 people may be left, maybe, or 2. They can also form a group. Yes. But no, if we decide that it's group work, it must be group work. We don't want someone to do it alone. Yes, I encourage that. Ghanaian context. Ghanaian context. Let's do it Ghanaian. Because, look, if we don't do it in the Ghanaian context, so that the organization is what? Verifiable. Quiet. Look, if we don't do it in the Ghanaian context, go and put this thing into AI. It will just give you a report. But I want to be able to check, is it a Ghanaian? And also locally, we will have also gone through the experience of how the technology has helped or has been used to solve. Yes, we are aware of the use of. Yes. Oh, you can use it. DHL, for instance. Don't use DHL. We discussed DHL here. Anyway, if you think you can use it, why not? Maybe it is not only the delivery aspect. There may be other aspects of DHL that you may want to rely on. But don't be thinking about an organization with a sophisticated system. No. Tamal Metro, maybe. Yeah, don't think of a sophisticated system, but just see how the concepts we are discussing would apply in that case study. Okay. Yeah, GPRTU, DVLA, there are many. There are many. All the organizations now, they have something. They have something, so you should be able to do it without. Yes. Okay, good question. How do you constitute the groups? Should we just use a particular number and share, or you will constitute your groups? Huh? You don't know yourselves. So, so you mean I should use the, we'll just count. But some are online. So what we may do is that, okay. Okay. Look, familiarity, this is a networking opportunity. Yes. Okay, so how do we remove duplication? Good question. Writing will not be the same. Okay. Yes. Yeah, the thing is that, as I indicated, we are still cleaning because some have taken offers, but may not come. But in the group right now, not everybody, some are not attending physical lectures or online, but they are not also leaving the group. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we can just add, group them those people, they will just keep quiet. Some people don't check their WhatsApp, they are just there. So we want, but the earlier we do this too, the better. Okay, so we can do it. If some leave, fine. So should we do it randomly? Talk. I mean, yeah. I just leave it with you to decide how you do it. You decide how you do it, oh? Yeah. So you decide how you do it. Otherwise, I'll be doing the assignment for you. Eh? Yes. This is an announcement. Mr. Durati approached me about swapping my class with him on Saturdays. So I would come in the morning. Next Saturday, I'll be here, first lecture. And then he would come in the afternoon. Okay, any question? Any question? You can stop recording. Yes.